The story begins with angry reader comments criticizing an author for taking another break. They complain about the author's repeated hiatuses and the sudden stop in the ongoing story. More fans expressed frustration, demanding refunds and speculating that the author was playing some strange game instead of writing. Everyone seemed very annoyed by the abrupt pause in the narrative. One character, Yoo Ilshin, humorously asked if he could at least save the world before the author took his break. Then, the scene shifts, starting the story of how everything began one day. Suddenly, dark gates and mysterious dungeons appeared across the world, causing immediate upheaval. Lightning flashed across the ominous sky, signaling the dangers that were about to unfold. From these newly opened gates, terrifying demonic beasts poured out into the human world. Some creatures breathed fire, while others crackled with raw lightning power. Many different kinds of monstrous creatures emerged, bringing an immense disaster upon humanity. The world faced an unprecedented, horrifying threat from these invading beasts. However, the appearance of individuals with special powers, known as hunters, began to turn the tide. Their sudden rise transformed the great disaster into an opportunity for humanity to grow stronger. Hunters could harvest special energy and materials from defeated monsters, providing a new source of hope for humanity. These resources aided in the world's rebuilding and defense efforts. Hunters were then categorized into classes based on their measured strength, ranging from the top SSS class down to the lowest G class. Each ranking reflected a hunter's proven skill level. Some hunters possessed truly incredible strength, radiating immense power that was palpable. These top-tier individuals served as vital symbols of hope and protection for the populace. Conversely, G-class hunters possessed abilities that were barely stronger than those of ordinary people. Despite this, people still held on to hope for a truly special hunter who could save everyone. A poster featuring a powerful hunter hangs in a hallway, serving as a reminder that once a hunter's class was determined, it rarely ever changed. The world continued to anticipate the arrival of a true savior. A young girl named Sung Miri stands in the hallway, holding a piece of paper and looking deeply thoughtful. She appeared preoccupied with something significant. She continued to stare down at the document in her hands, her expression serious and slightly downcast. The information on the paper clearly weighed heavily on her mind. The paper was identified as a re-examination application for her hunter class, showing her current rank was B+. This was her 10th attempt, and apprehension about the results showed on her face. As she began walking away, a strong wave of doubt washed over her, making her question if all her training had been completely pointless. She seemed visibly disheartened by her predicament. Suddenly, she stopped moving and looked around, sensing an unusual tingling sensation on her skin. She wondered if something strange was happening at that very moment. As a young man approached her, she immediately assumed he was another person trying to obtain her phone number. She felt both slightly flattered and significantly annoyed by the interruption. The young man quickly spoke up to clarify his intentions, urging her not to misunderstand why he approached her. He appeared somewhat flustered by the interaction. He insisted that he was not typically the type of person who would approach a stranger like this, attempting to justify his forwardness. He seemed genuinely embarrassed by his action. Seong Miri looked at him with an expression of disgust, wondering if he was some kind of pervert. Her momentary annoyance swiftly escalated into genuine alarm. As her anger intensified, she clenched her fist tightly, causing visible electricity to crackle around her hand. She readied herself to use her powers if the situation required it. Just then, another girl walked past holding a phone, and the young man quickly answered his own ringing device. He hastily excused himself, eager to attend to the call. Seong Miri stared after him, completely baffled by his sudden phone call and abrupt departure. She wondered who could possibly be calling him with such urgency. An official's voice then called out, "Number 49, Song Miri Nem," successfully grabbing her attention. She quickly acknowledged the call, confirming she was present. She was instructed to proceed to the examination room to collect her official evaluation results. A moment later, someone confirmed that her hunter class evaluation was ready for viewing. She looked closely at the evaluation paper once more, handling the document carefully with both hands. Although her expression was obscured, the gravity of the moment was evident. Surrounded by other people, Song Miri appeared deeply sad as she confirmed she had once again failed to advance beyond the B-class ranking. Her profound disappointment was visible to onlookers. She lowered her gaze, her eyes shadowed and filled with melancholy. She felt convinced that she would never be able to break through her current hunter class limitation. He stood on a bridge overlooking the city lights at night, a place known as one of the most popular spots for people to end their lives. But he was not there to die. In fact, it was for the exact opposite reason as he looked at an SOS Lifeline phone booth. He clutched his phone, thinking about how he and even his niece or nephew could have died, while a monster roared in his mind. He recalled a terrifying, shadowy figure looming over him, making his eyes widen in fear. He blamed everything that had happened on his phone. He held the device over the railing, calling it a stupid, unlucky phone. The story then shifted to a few days earlier. He was at a cafe, trying to write on his laptop. He continued to type, but seemed stuck. Tomorrow's the due date. He couldn't write anything at all. He struggled hard, unable to focus on his work. Ahem. Should I? He wondered if clearing out unused apps from his phone might help him concentrate. Huh? What's this? While cleaning his phone, he noticed a strange app and wondered if he had installed it himself. The app icon was a terrifying chest with sharp teeth and a long tongue. He opened the app and discovered it was a game called Godmaker. Welcome to Godmaker. Inside the pixelated game, a small ant appeared. The game's instructions were unreadable, making him wonder if he should just randomly press buttons. He decided to tap the screen randomly. The ant in the game died, which surprised him, and something else started to appear. Suddenly, a golden coin flew out from his phone screen towards him. Huh? Huh? The coin hit his head, leaving him shocked. The coin bounced off his head and landed on his laptop. Holding the coin, he looked confused and excited as the game informed him that no, one god coin was dropped. The game further explained that he was one step closer to becoming an evil, power-seeking god who rules by force. A text box explained that the world had changed in the last 20 years, making such an event not a sign of madness, but a real ability. He was registered as number 369, Mr. Yoo Ilshin. Later, as he walked by, people around him laughed and gossiped about his name, making him feel a bit embarrassed. Please, just call me without my last name. A woman at a desk smiled brightly. She then congratulated Mr. Yoo Ilshin, telling him his aptitude test results showed he had indeed gained abilities. He was overjoyed, imagining himself as a powerful hunter. He wished for a good class, thinking, I won't even wish for an A class. He pleaded in his mind for at least a D or E class, hoping it would be enough to quit his job as a novel author and become a hunter. However, the woman informed him that he was Class G, which left him stunned. He stared at the paperwork she held out, utterly deflated by the G-class ranking. She explained that his ability was the creation of matter as he still tried to process being a G-class. This is your ability, Mr. Yoo Ilshin. He realized that a G-class hunter was pretty much just a regular civilian. I'm class. She then asked if he would like to register for a license. How much? He paused, thinking about the price. It is 280,000. He quickly said no, stating there wasn't a single dungeon he could enter as a G-class, so why would he waste his money? Nope. He decided to just go home and finish his web novel chapter before his manager started bothering him. A text box stated, one day, all of a sudden, it was 2:15 a.m. on Thursday, and he looked exhausted. Realizing he had spent the past 5 hours just typing and deleting, he wondered if he should take a break to clear his head, and turned on the TV. He saw a news report about S-class hunter Baek Yoo-hyun attempting a disaster rank dungeon. The news proudly announced that the hunter had succeeded in clearing the dungeon. He watched with a tired expression as the news declared humanity was one step closer to salvation today. Next, a commercial came on, advertising a captivating and fatal temptation, an item S-class hunter Shangmina always brought to dungeons. The advertisement revealed it was a skin protection cream called Amandra, marketed as perfect for your skin. He grew frustrated, seeing successful hunters advertised everywhere. Lying in bed, he hated seeing all these successful people. I hate seeing them. He told himself to get some sleep so he could write with a clear head in the morning. Let's just get some sleep. At 2:20 a.m., his phone started ringing loudly. The phone continued to ring 2 minutes later, at 2:22 a.m. He looked incredibly annoyed and stressed as the persistent ringing continued. He groaned internally, wondering why the stupid alarm wouldn't just turn off. Many important guests, including the president and the Hunter Association leader, have gathered for a special event. A speaker thanks them for attending. Everyone is excited because a hunter has finally opened a hunter store in their country. They cheer that Korea now has one too. Someone claps, inviting everyone to witness the event. Two hunters watch with keen interest as the event begins. A man asks everyone to help manifest the hunter store. The onlookers appear surprised and curious, eagerly awaiting what will happen next. Suddenly, the room is filled with a powerful aura as the hunter prepares to activate the store. The hunter extends his hands, activating the store with a bright light and swirling energy. A strong gust of wind erupts, catching the guests off guard and causing a small commotion. After the sudden blast, everyone checks on each other to make sure they are okay. The large group of attendees looks around the meeting room, still a bit disoriented. The president asks if anyone can see anything, but another man replies that he can't either, leaving them confused. A speaker clarifies that only the person who activated the store can see it directly. Seong-mina prepares to use her telepathic ability to share the vision of the store with everyone. As Seong-mina activates her power, the guests gasp in amazement as they begin to see the invisible store. The Hunter Shop interface appears, displaying powerful items like a high potion and the holy sword Excalibur. The guests are absolutely astonished by the legendary items shown in the Hunter Shop. The store continues to display more incredible items, including the Lightning God's Blessing. Two men exclaim that these are items they've only heard of in myths and legends, confirming this is the Hunter store. They are amazed by the 3 billion gold price of the Lightning God's Blessing, considering it a steal for its power. The man who activated the store alerts everyone, bringing a serious tone to the gathering. The Korean president looks sternly at everyone, asking them to remember his words. He stresses that the nation's future depends on this project, and it must be kept a secret until fully operational. He then declares that Mr. Kang Woo will need at least 2 S-class hunters as his bodyguards for protection. Seong-mina listens intently, her expression serious as she takes in the president's instructions. The chapter title card signals a shift in the story to a different character. A message on a phone congratulates an unknown god for fulfilling the requirements to activate God's store. The main character, the unknown god, looks at his phone, pondering whether to activate the mysterious store. He smiles confidently, deciding to proceed with the activation. He presses the yes button, driven by curiosity about the new store. The phone asks if he wants to use 100 coins to activate the god's store, and he confirms his choice. The coins on his bed vanish in a flash, signaling the store's activation. He wonders if he is a creation-type hunter like Kang Woo, even though he is only G-class compared to Kang Woo's S-class. The god's shop appears on his phone, showing items with scrambled names and incredibly high prices. He stares at his phone in disbelief, confused by the strange display. He tries to decipher the scrambled words, wondering what is written there. He can only read the large numbers for the item prices, which continue to climb. A bright light flashes from his phone, hinting at something happening. He groans, frustrated that all the items are so expensive, especially since he only gathered 300 coins so far. Suddenly, the items in the god's shop on his phone begin to scroll on their own. An item scrolls down and stops, seemingly asking him to buy it for just 100 gold. He taps his phone and a message appears, confirming he has purchased Blind God's Eye, Unique Authority. The coins disappear again, and he reacts with a surprised sound, wondering about Blind God's Eye. He reads the item's description, which says it prevents him from seeing the truth, and questions its usefulness. He lets out a cry of shock as his eyes change, and he falls backward. His phone drops to the floor as he struggles with his sudden change. He clutches his face, feeling his eyes change, scared of what is happening. He panics, realizing he can't see and fears he has gone blind. He fumbles around, trying to find his dropped phone in the dark. He accidentally kicks something hard and cries out in pain. He grabs his injured foot, still unable to see clearly. Suddenly, his vision returns, and he expresses relief, happy to see again. He picks up his phone and notices he can now clearly read the item descriptions. The shop now displays clear names for items like Gehenna's Flame and Pandora's Box. He marvels at the grand names of the items, feeling like a protagonist in a story. He looks at the staggering prices, still finding most items far out of his reach. He ponders how a G-class hunter usually lives and dies as one, but he feels like a main character. He remembers hearing that even S-class hunters usually follow that path, but there are exceptions. He wonders if he might be one of those rare exceptions. He continues to scroll through the shop, looking for anything else he might be able to afford. He discovers an item called God's Crushing Forefinger, priced at only 100 gold, which sounds powerful. Since this is the only one he can afford, he decides to purchase it. He taps his phone to buy the item, and more coins vanish from his total. A message confirms his purchase of God's Crushing Forefinger, showing a glowing finger pointing upwards. He looks at his finger, wondering what this newly acquired skill can do. He points his finger at the wall, curious to test the ability. He calls out the skill, and the air conditioner on the wall starts to make a noise and move slightly. The air conditioner continues to move, seemingly responding to his command. He repeats the skill name, and the air conditioner wiggles again. He aims his finger directly at the air conditioner, trying to control it. With another shout of the skill's name, his finger glows brightly. He points at the TV, and it shows today's weather forecast. He is surprised by the ability, seeing that the forecast predicts a clear day. He realizes his new skill, God's crushing forefinger, is some sort of remote control. The author works hard on his novel, which he calls God's Crushing Forefinger. He brings his strong ideas to life on his laptop, especially for the God's Crushing Forefinger story. He sits back, feeling a bit tired, knowing that a good novel needs more than just a wish to write itself. Suddenly, his phone rings, pulling him out of his thoughts. He sees the caller is an almighty director and nervously picks up the phone. The director on the other end is full of praise, saying how much fun the story he sent was. The author is very surprised by this positive feedback. He can't believe his simple story about killing ants for a few days could be considered fun. The director explains that the story's plot is unique and has great potential, but there's one big problem. The author quickly offers to fix it, but the director playfully teases him, saying the problem is that there's no next chapter yet. The director then excitedly demands to know when the next chapter will be ready, clearly hooked on the story. Feeling the pressure, the author quickly promises to write the next chapter and send it in just 2 days. He tells the director, "No, just give me 2 days and I'll write it and send it over to you." Later, 100 coin appears, glowing with a golden light. The author sits, watching as smaller coins combine into one larger coin. He reaches down to pick up the shining 100 coin. With only 100 coins, he sighs, realizing he still needs a lot more to buy anything, since the cheapest items cost 1,000 coins. He then sees an item called Growth God's Blessing from a low-class god and wonders if it would be better than useless powers. The word growth makes his heart beat fast, and he decides to quickly collect 1,000 coins to buy this special item. He gets back to playing his game on the phone, tapping to defeat enemies. He looks at his phone with a puzzled expression. He tries to crush an ant in the game, but this particular one just won't die. He notices the stubborn ant looks different from the regular ones. He then wonders if this unique ant could be the boss of the game. He becomes intensely focused and frustrated, ready to give it his all. He presses his finger down hard on the phone screen, saying, "In that case, the ant dodges his attack easily." He exclaims, dodged it. How frustrating. Flames appear around him as he gathers his strength, determined not to lose. He ends up huffing and puffing, tired from all the furious tapping on his phone. He looks at his phone, defeated, still breathing heavily. He sweats, amazed by how incredibly quick that tiny ant was, saying, "I couldn't get it." He realizes the ant was too fast, wondering, how's this stupid little ant so fast? It is 3 a.m., and he learns that he can earn rewards by getting a special title. He falls asleep on his bed, still holding his phone. Suddenly, his phone lights up with a new notification. A strange message appears, saying the god of an unknown name is chasing after the uniquired sacrifice, number 404, with a scary, toothy image on his screen. He wakes up to find himself in a dark movie theater with a projector casting light onto the screens. The empty seats and large screens stretch before him, feeling eerie and silent. Confused, he sits in a theater seat, munching popcorn, and looks at the vast expanse. He calls out, wondering, "Where is this? Hello? Is anyone there?" He looks startled, realizing this is a movie theater? His eyes widen with shock and fear, asking, What? He sits stiffly in the movie seat, holding a drink and popcorn, looking worried. His mouth hangs open slightly, showing his deep fear and confusion. He looks around with wide, shocked eyes. He finds himself in a vast, empty desert and wonders if this strange place is caused by the Black Tribe's god. He realizes this god had tried to kill him by sacrificing its own followers. His depravity makes him seem more like a demon than a god. With the monstrous god breathing heavily nearby, he knows he must warn his friends about the danger, thinking, "I'm running out of time. I have to let my companions know." A lone warrior journeyed across a vast, empty desert under a fiery sky. He finally reached a hidden cave entrance, pushing through the dust and rubble. Inside, a terrifying, monstrous face with glowing red eyes seemed to be waiting. The warrior coughed up blood, falling to the ground next to a broken sign covered in fresh splatters. He struggled to stand, clutching his sword tightly in his injured hand, but his strength gave out, and he collapsed again, his sword hitting the dry ground with a thud. Later, this same warrior, looking beaten, reported to his people that he had found where the Black Tribe escaped, but a monstrous god of the Black Tribe had killed all his comrades, and he barely managed to get away. He urged his fellow warriors that they must act quickly, and do something before that monster strikes again. The warrior stood before his silent comrades, who were listening intently to his shocking tale. Many of them laughed at him, calling him a coward and questioning how their food, the Black Tribe, could have such a monster god that he was defeated. The frustrated warrior then loudly told everyone to be silent and listen. The other warriors immediately stopped their mockery, looking up at him. A group of strong insect-like warriors stood ready, their attention now on the leader. Then, a wise old shaman appeared, casting a serious shadow over the group. The defeated warrior knelt respectfully before the great shaman, seeking his judgment. The shaman, known as Sir 808 of Dawn, then shared that he also sensed the presence of the evil being the warrior spoke of. This confirmation made the kneeling warrior look up in surprise and a little relief. The shaman declared that what the warrior was saying was indeed the truth, and the warrior bowed, acknowledging his wise words. On his phone, the main character watches as red figures representing his rivals disappear, one by one. With a strong smash of his hand, two more of his rivals, number 404 has died. No, 808 has died. The main character is seen powering up, standing over his damaged phone, surrounded by an aura of intense energy. His eyes glow with fierce determination as another notification confirms that no, 809 has also been defeated. Suddenly, he jolts awake in his bed, looking disoriented, with his phone lying next to him. He is horrified to find that his actual phone screen is completely shattered from his actions in the game. Sitting amidst a pile of gold coins, he looks around his messy room, still a bit dazed. He then notices a new notification on his cracked phone screen, drawing his attention. The notification proudly announces that the unknown god's karma has reached 1,000. Following this, another message congratulates him on earning the title of Evil God. He sees the details of his new Brutal Slayer F title, which increases his combat luck after reaching 1,000 evil karma. Confused, he wonders how he got a title for accumulating 1,000 karma, and why it's called Brutal Slayer or Evil God. He tries to deny it, claiming he's a nice person, as more gold coins appear around him. Among the falling coins, he spots a shiny new object that catches his eye. He picks up a small, elegant ring, curious about its nature. He holds the ring up, examining its intricate details with a puzzled expression. As he holds the ring, he feels an amazing, refreshing scent, as if his head is suddenly clearing. He sits on his bed, contemplating whether he should put on the mysterious ring. With a hesitant movement, he slowly slides the ring onto his finger. A vibrant green glow surrounds him, and he feels a powerful surge of energy through his entire body. He exclaims with excitement that his body feels completely new, and all his tiredness has vanished. Just then, his unique ability, the Blind God's Eye, activates again as he looks at the ring. His phone displays analyzing the ring, and then announces that the analysis was successful. Perplexed, he reads the analysis, which identifies it as the Ring of the Druid, a ring filled with forest life that increases attributes. He reflects on this unexpected development and wonders if his new analysis power also works on other everyday objects. Determined to find out, he takes a deep breath and prepares to test his ability further. With a powerful surge of energy, his eyes glow red as he activates his Blind God's Eye's unique authority for more analysis. He uses his power to analyze his television and laptop, instantly learning details about their age and remaining warranty. He then turns his gaze to his old bed, and the analysis jokingly suggests it's time to throw it away. Standing by his window, he pauses, wondering if he should stop using his new power to analyze things. He wipes a bead of sweat from his brow, feeling a strange clarity about his situation. He realizes the immense potential of his newfound power and the ring. He holds up the ring, understanding that with his analysis ability, it could be incredibly valuable. He is astonished by the true extent of what he can now do with these powers. He thinks about his initial low G rank and feels confident that he can achieve much more now. He decides to return to the Center for Paranormal Phenomena for a re-evaluation, certain they will be amazed by his new abilities. He arrives at the impressive building of the Center for Paranormal Phenomena, ready to prove his improved strength. A staff member asks if he truly wants a re-evaluation, reminding him that their initial tests are highly accurate. He confidently agrees, but the staff member then informs him that only the first test is free, and a re-evaluation costs a hefty 1,580,000 won. He is visibly shocked by the extremely high price for a second evaluation. The staff member presses him for a quick decision, pointing out the long line of people waiting. Feeling embarrassed and frustrated, he apologizes and decides to leave, promising to return another time. As he walks away, he scolds himself for not checking the re-evaluation fee earlier, and feeling silly for getting so excited. He reflects on how the ring made him so eager that he acted impulsively. He laments his rash decision, wishing he had focused on his writing instead. He sits in the waiting area, observing the crowd and reminding himself to calm down and write something quickly. His blind god's eye activates again, and he wonders if he can find something to write about by analyzing the people around him. He realizes his unique authority is now scanning individuals in the room. He is surprised that his power works on people too, but questions the reality of the information it provides. He sees personal details like a man having hemorrhoids and a woman being pregnant, realizing he definitely cannot ask people about such private information. When his power reveals another man has erectile dysfunction, he panics, thinking he would seem like a psychopath if he ever mentioned these facts. Suddenly, his attention is drawn to a specific person. A young girl walks past a large poster promoting a hero, carrying some papers. His power reveals her name, Seong Miri, a 19-year-old female whose unique specialty is thrilling. He is utterly confused by the term thrilling and what it could possibly mean as a specialty. He wonders why she is the first person whose name he could see with his power. He continues to stare at her back, his mind racing with questions. He internally questions the strange, thrilling specialty, feeling a peculiar sense of curiosity. He mentally scolds himself, calling his own thoughts psychopathic. As she continues to walk away, he finds himself standing up, almost without thinking. He tries to resist the urge to follow her or speak to her. He struggles with his overwhelming curiosity, remembering the saying, "Curiosity killed the author." The girl walks calmly away, unaware of the internal battle he is fighting. Despite his earlier resolve, he calls out to her, asking, "Aren't you thrilled right now?" A young woman named Song Miri, who is 19 years old, stands with a thrilled status, though her expression isn't visible. The man, Yoo Ilshin, is about to approach her. Seong Miri walks away, unaware that someone is watching her. She carries a paper in her hand, dressed in a school uniform. Suddenly, Yoo Ilshin dashes forward, trying to catch up to her quickly. He carries a rolled-up paper in his hand. He continues to run, getting closer to Seong Miri, who remains unaware of his approach. He wants to ask her something important. Ilshin reaches out his hand, shouting "Stop," to get her attention. He needs to talk to her immediately. He pulls his hand back, warning himself that being too curious can be bad for a writer like him. He knows he's about to do something strange. Song Miri stops and turns around, making Ilshin worry if he should even ask her anything, or if she might get angry and slap him. He hesitantly calls out to her, trying to start a conversation. He's nervous about her reaction. Seong Miri looks at him with a puzzled and slightly annoyed expression as he asks her if she is feeling thrilled right now. She continues to stare at him, her expression turning more suspicious as she tries to understand his strange question. Other people walk by in the background. Ilshin realizes how weird he must seem, calling himself a nutjob for asking such a direct and unusual question. He feels awkward about his actions. Seong Miri's face shows clear irritation and confusion, a swirl of angry lines appearing next to her head, indicating her rising annoyance. Blue sparks of energy crackle around Seong Miri, showing that her anger might be activating some special ability, which startles Ilshin. Ilshin quickly tries to calm her down, begging her not to think of him as a strange person, despite his bizarre actions. He thinks to himself that there's no way she wouldn't see him as strange, and that he's in deep trouble. He tries to convince himself he's not a weirdo. Seong Miri's eyes glow blue with power, making Ilshin worry he might be arrested for his odd behavior. He feels the situation is getting out of control. Suddenly, Ilshin's phone rings, offering a desperate escape from the tense situation. He quickly grabs it, relieved to have a reason to leave. The phone screen flashes, "Demon Sister calling," indicating an urgent and likely frightening call, which makes him even more anxious. Ilshin quickly apologizes to Song Miri, explaining he needs to take this important call, and turns to leave in a hurry. Seong Miri watches him rush away, still looking utterly bewildered and annoyed by his sudden and strange behavior. The scene concludes this part of the story, marking the end of Chapter 7. The setting changes to a bright, sunny day outside a building as Ilshin begins to think about his next plans. Ilshin is now happily on the phone, wondering aloud where he should meet his beloved niece. He seems much more relaxed. While still on the phone, someone scolds him for being so happy about money and questions if he's an unemployed loafer for it. Ilshin quickly agrees to stop, tells the person he's hanging up, and reminds them not to be late for their meeting. He sounds a bit flustered. He sighs in relief, glad he wasn't kicked out of the conversation for taking too long during his re-inspection, suggesting a past mistake. He wonders if he will be able to survive another turn before he has to start writing again, hinting at a demanding creative process. Soon, he meets his young niece, who looks up at him and calls him uncle, with wide, innocent eyes. Ilshin is completely charmed by her cuteness, marveling that his demon sister could have such an angelic child. He's instantly smitten. His niece then innocently asks him what dark history means, which makes Ilshin freeze in horror as a grim memory crosses his mind. He recalls that he had mentioned something about dark history in a story he updated earlier that day. His niece, still curious, asks him what update means, looking up at him expectantly for an explanation. Ilshin feels a strong urge to pinch her adorable, fluffy cheeks, a gesture he knows she dislikes but finds hard to resist. Unable to resist, he pinches her cheeks, exclaiming, "How cute she is." His niece looks very displeased. His niece gets extremely angry, yelling at him that she hates it and has told him many times not to do that specific action. Ilshin apologizes profusely, admitting that her fluffy cheeks are just too tempting, but he knows it's the one thing she truly hates. He worries that she'll stay mad for at least an hour, and then suddenly has an idea, shouting "ah" as a notification about his special abilities appears. His special system begins assessing target, focusing on his niece, and quickly finishes the assessment complete. Notification. The system reveals his niece's profile, Chae Sung-yeon, 5 years old, and states her desire, wants to eat a chocolate ice cream cone. Ilshin realizes what he needs to do. He immediately asks her if she would like to go get a sweet and delicious chocolate ice cream cone, knowing it will cheer her up. His niece's eyes widen, and she starts to drool with excitement at the mention of her favorite treat, her anger quickly forgotten. They arrive at an ice cream shop, and a cheerful employee greets them warmly, welcoming them inside. His niece eagerly points and asks for her chocolate ice cream cone, and Ilshin agrees, realizing he now has to pay for it. Ilshin reaches into his pocket, preparing to pay for the ice cream with some hesitation. He pulls out a handful of coins and orders 1 chocolate ice cream cone, almost ordering 2 by mistake. The employee seems less pleased, slowly counting the coins with a forced smile, making Ilshin feel a sense of unease. The employee serves a very small scoop of ice cream into the cone, and Ilshin thinks to himself that she is giving them so little. Ilshin feels that this stingy serving is unfair, questioning if it's discrimination because he paid with coins, especially for a child who represents our future. Then, a thought sparks in his mind. He remembers he possesses his remote control power, a way to influence things. Ilshin points his finger, hinting that he is about to use his power, which he calls God's crushing forefinger, to deal with the situation. People in a strange, ancient-looking place bowed down, desperately calling out to an unnamed god for help. Suddenly, a bright red blast hit one of the warriors, making them scream in pain as others begged for mercy. A small, ant-like creature, looking very scared, watched with tears in its eyes. It continued to plead, asking for mercy from the giant, terrifying ant-like monster looming over them. The holy maiden of the Black Tribe also prayed loudly in a sacred place, desperately wishing for her tribe to be saved. She looked very worried and small, shivering as she waited for a response to her prayers. Suddenly, a giant ant-like warrior stepped closer, asking if the holy maiden truly thought she could escape from the Empire soldiers. The massive warrior's dark, sharp claws looked ready to strike its helpless victim. It opened its terrifying mouth wide, showing sharp teeth, and the holy maiden looked absolutely terrified. Then a message appeared on the screen, asking if the unnamed god wanted to rescue the small, desperate creature. Yoo Ilshin, the unnamed god, saw a cute image of the creature on his phone, while in the game world, a monstrous general loomed over the real one. He stared at his phone, a memory of a time he felt just as helpless flashing in his mind, making him feel connected to the creature. He then decided to help the creature, remembering how he once looked just as small and fragile. He looked down at his phone, considering his decision to intervene. The general laughed, telling the holy maiden she would become a tribute to the emperor. But before the general could finish speaking, a tiny, pixelated version of him appeared ready to fight. The general screamed in surprise, calling out, "Kek kek kek, holy maiden of the Black Tribe." The massive warrior looked down, surprised by the unexpected appearance. The holy maiden screamed as a powerful, bright light suddenly surrounded the warrior. Yoo Ilshin saw a shower of coins appear on his phone screen, and wondered what was happening. Yoo Ilshin looked up, surprised by the shower of coins falling around him. The holy maiden, now safe, wanted to know the true name of her savior, the unnamed god. He stared at his phone, a question appearing. "My name." He then spoke his name aloud to the game, Yoo Ilshin. The holy maiden excitedly declared her worship for Yoo Ilshin, which completely surprised him. He received a new title, Merciful Redeemer, and realized he now possessed titles for both good and evil gods. As a first-time special bonus for obtaining a good god title, he was given 100,000 G coins. He was extremely excited, realizing he now possessed a grand total of 108,700 coins. Yoo Ilshin eagerly browsed the game's shop, wondering what amazing items he could buy with his new wealth. He quickly found an item called Blessing of the Growing God for 1,000 G coins and decided to buy it immediately. Oh, it came! A glowing bottle with a golden liquid magically appeared right in front of him. He held the bottle, preparing to examine the item details that appeared on his screen. The description detailed that the liquid was spilled body fluid from a powerful being, which made him feel a bit disgusted. Well, it didn't seem to have any smell, as he cautiously brought the bottle toward his nose. He continued to drink the strange liquid, hoping for some effect to appear. He stood there, holding up the item panel, realizing he had bought and consumed many bottles. It's just a scam, he thought angrily, frustrated that nothing seemed to be happening after drinking so much. Ah? He looked at the item info screen again, which reminded him of the description. Fine, I'll bite, he muttered, deciding to continue trying the item despite his doubts. He noticed empty bottles scattered on the floor around his feet. He stood up, disappointed, as nothing seemed to be happening after drinking so much. Then, he suddenly collapsed onto the floor, as a message showed his Godmaker's assimilation rate had increased to 5%. More messages popped up on his phone, detailing the assimilation rate increase and ability strengthening. He woke up in his bed later, looking very groggy and drooling. He rubbed his head, feeling confused and a bit sick from whatever had happened. He wondered how he got home, noticing his bed and room were now covered in tiny ants. He stared at his phone with wide, bloodshot eyes, reading the notifications. Suddenly, large, monstrous ant-like creatures appeared in his room, looking ready to attack. He scrambled backward away from the bed, trying to get distance from the swarm. Due to the increased rate of assimilation, Godmaker's battlefield had been upgraded. What is with this swarm of ants? He frantically tried to open his door, his hands shaking as he gripped the handle. One of the huge ant-like monsters opened its terrifying maw, saliva dripping down. He kicked off the ground, leaping away from the door and the advancing swarm. Lying there, he looked towards the window, silent in realization. He ran towards the window, remembering that he was only on the 3rd floor of his building. He stopped, thinking about jumping out and wondering if he would survive such a fall. He gave a nervous smile, hoping he wouldn't die if he actually jumped from the window. But as he tried to open the window, it glowed brightly and sent him flying back into the room. He fell heavily onto the floor, realizing he was completely trapped inside his own room. Filled with a sudden, intense rage, he let out a massive primal roar. He summoned a powerful, fiery energy in his hands, ready to fight back against the invaders. The dark figures above him commanded, "All troops, attack!" The giant enemy general roared as its soldiers were instantly incinerated by the power unleashed. The enemy general noted that this new power had enough energy to kill General Stooge. The general looked down at the small figures that made up its army. The general ordered its remaining troops forward with a menacing gaze. The general, holding a flaming spear, yelled out a final command, "Fire!" A terrifying barrage of flaming arrows rained down, striking Yoo Ilshin repeatedly. The general and its remaining troops watched the massive attack unfold. The general gloated, boasting about the mighty power of its great empire. The general ordered all troops to charge, kill the monster, and bring its head to the emperor. Yoo Ilshin fell to the blood-stained floor, unable to move or fight back against the overwhelming attack. He struggled to breathe, feeling completely overwhelmed and close to defeat. He coughed and gasped for air, his body failing him in the face of the enemy, and looked at his phone. Suddenly, a familiar spray can, looking like an insect killer, appeared on his phone screen. He let out a huge, powerful scream, finding a surge of new strength within himself. Yoo Ilshin stood up, his eyes glowing red, and unleashed a massive wave of power, pushing back the ant-like monsters. The giant enemy general watched the overwhelming surge of power with a slight tremor. Yoo Ilshin, now engulfed in raging flames, clenched his fist, preparing for a devastating attack. A huge explosion of fire erupted, consuming the enemy troops and towering structures. The general watched as the flames surrounded it, finally realizing the immense power it was facing. It understood with horror that this overwhelming force was the true power of a god. The fire raged fiercely, consuming everything around Yoo Ilshin in a powerful inferno. Yoo Ilshin, still engulfed in flames, felt his body weaken and struggled to move. He coughed, wondering if he was truly going to die in this fiery chaos. But then, a new message appeared, stating that a high-class evil god called Soundless Nightmare had sent him a gift. The message offered a powerful gift that could change his permanent alignment and asked if he would accept it. He reached out his hand and tapped yes on his phone screen to accept the gift. A dark red energy pulsed around his hand as he accepted the gift, his eyes wide with a new kind of power. The ominous energy surrounded him, hinting at a new, powerful, and perhaps sinister change. His eye glowed intensely with a deep, menacing red light, showing the evil god's power now residing within him. The sky looked calm and wide, with soft clouds floating by. Suddenly, a bright, powerful energy pulsed over the city, reaching up towards the clouds. On the ground, dust swirled as someone tried to use their strength, but it seemed to be a struggle. A young woman, So-yeon, held a dark, round object and looked frustrated, realizing her efforts were not working. She remembered a time when she was incredibly powerful, defeating a huge monster known as the Thorned Bull. She wished she could awaken that special strength again, hoping to regain the power she once had. With that strength, her dream of revenge would no longer be just a dream, but a real possibility. Her gaze sharpened, and the city below blurred as if she was thinking intensely or moving very fast. Meanwhile, a man was seen from afar, standing in a place that looked like it was in trouble. He coughed heavily, trying to catch his breath amidst the chaos. Flames surrounded him, and he grew frustrated as he struggled to activate his abilities, still coughing. He knelt amidst the fire, desperate for his powers to work. A message appeared, saying an ability called Soundless Nightmare was being absorbed, but the man felt it wasn't helping him at all. He tried to use another ability, God's Crushing Forefinger, but it seemed to fail him too, leaving him gasping for air. Weakened and on the floor, he could only groan softly in pain. He wondered if this was the end, if he would simply die in the raging fire. As sparks flew around him, a powerful force seemed to strike near him. Suddenly, his eyes widened in surprise, and a new message appeared before him. His special power, Blind God's Eye, had activated, starting to scan someone nearby. He wondered who it was, as the power identified a female who had a thrilling specialty. The analysis showed a person wearing a helmet, radiating a powerful aura. He felt confused, questioning what thrilling meant as a specialty. This was the beginning of Chapter 9 of their story. Later, in a hospital room, a little girl, Seungyeon, asked the bandaged man if he was truly her uncle. He confirmed it, and she then asked for the special password, which he jokingly gave as a silly phrase about her mother, making her laugh. Seungyeon hugged her uncle tightly, telling him not to get hurt so they could play more, while her mother watched with a stern but caring look. Suddenly, a sharp noise surprised everyone in the room. His sister got angry, scolding him for saying such things about her and being too harsh to a patient, which made Seungyeon look sad. Seungyeon looked toward the door when she heard a knock. She cheerfully went to open the door, wondering who it could be. However, when she checked, no one was there, much to her uncle's confusion. He looked around the door, trying to figure out who had been there. They then saw a basket of beautiful flowers with a ribbon wishing him a speedy recovery from the supervisor. Outside the hospital, Soyeon stood on a rooftop, deep in thought. She looked at the hospital building, remembering past events. She recalled lying in bed, injured and weakened. She remembered the Thorned Bull being defeated, a powerful memory. Soyeon realized that when she was near that man, Yoo Ilshin, she could wield power beyond her normal limits, wondering if he possessed something special. She had been observing him for 4 days, but still did not understand if that man had something that allowed her to surpass her limits. Feeling a little embarrassed, she decided it was best to return before anyone caught her sneaking around. As she turned to leave, she heard a strange sound from the hospital room. Soyeon stopped, her attention drawn by the sudden noise from inside. Inside, Yoo Il-shin was screaming in frustration, his bandaged form radiating a strange energy. Meanwhile, in a different place, people gathered around a large ancient tree under a full moon. One person, acting as a leader, said no to something, seemingly in disagreement. Some people from an ant-like tribe pleaded with their leader, asking them to reconsider. They explained that the glowing crystal the leader held was their tribe's most precious treasure. However, the leader, a wise elder of the tribe, had already made a firm decision. The elder said that while it was their tribal treasure, they must not forget how they were saved from an army in the past. With a gentle smile, the elder held the glowing crystal out. They believed that by giving up their most precious item, even a small wrong could be forgiven, and their tribe would also receive forgiveness. Back in the hospital, Yoo Il-shin looked furious at his phone, yelling about ant bastards. Soyeon, still outside, looked confused by his sudden outburst. She wondered why he was acting so crazy, as he continued to shout about being a patient and being bothered. His phone showed a message from the saint and the 101 underlings, who were praying to Yoo Il-shin. Then another message popped up, asking if he would accept a tribute from his believers, giving him a yes or no option. Yoo Ilshin was surprised, asking if it was truly a tribute, as he thought only very important people received such offerings. Realizing he must be important, he happily tapped yes on his phone, eager to see what they would give him. The image on his phone showed a small, ant-like creature proudly holding the glowing crystal, ready to offer it. A notification appeared, confirming that the tribute had been successfully sent, and a tiny, sparkling object appeared in his hand. He looked at the small, glowing item in his bandaged hand, wondering if it was a fruit of the world tree. A description appeared, calling it one of the 7 fruits left by Yggdrasil, and he carefully sniffed it, finding no weird smells. Still a little surprised, he looked at his phone, which showed a picture of the world tree, and confirmed the item was indeed its fruit. The man, still covered in bandages, saw words appear before his eyes, suggesting that something might be good for stamina. He took a sip of liquid, evaluating its taste with a thoughtful expression. A young girl watched him from a distance, looking surprised as the man's expression twisted in disgust. He opened his mouth wide, water dripping, clearly overwhelmed by the taste. He coughed and exclaimed how salty, spicy, and even bitter the liquid was. Cough! Cough! What kind of taste is this? He coughed and exclaimed how salty, spicy, and even bitter the liquid was. Suddenly, his bandaged hand began to glow with a healing light, surprising him. The bandages around his foot fell away. He peeled off the bandages from his chest, his eyes wide as he realized all his injuries were gone. He stretched, feeling much better and full of energy after his wounds had completely healed. The girl outside watched him with confusion, wondering about the man who had healed so quickly from severe burns. Who on earth is that man? Then, a new message popped up on his phone as he got out of bed. The God's Blessing function in Godmaker had been activated, showing a group of tiny believers around a small, fluffy creature. He realized he could now give blessings to his believers using their offerings, and wondered what the tiny ant-like creatures would enjoy. He looked at his phone thoughtfully, considering what kind of blessing to bestow. Meanwhile, in another world, the ant-like people, led by their saintess, prayed to their god, wondering why their offerings hadn't been answered. Suddenly, small white particles began to fall from the sky, and they wondered if it was snow. More and more white particles rained down, and the crowd below realized it was something special. Some immediately tasted the falling substance. Miraculously, people who were blind could see again, and those with injuries found themselves healed. Even a severed arm grew back. An old, wise-looking ant person shed a tear, realizing they were witnessing a true miracle. The saintess cried tears of joy, praising their merciful Lord. Back in his room, the man received a notification that he had gained 101 new believers and 1,101 faith, making him smile. He thought it was funny how much they liked just sugar, noting that 1 faith converts into 100 God coin. He looked at the image of the ant-like creatures on his phone and found them quite cute. Later, in a busy street, the protagonist observed the chaotic scene. Another merchant loudly advertised that they bought items at the highest prices, even welcoming hermits. 2 tough-looking men stared each other down, about to start a fight. The one with dreadlocks started to confront the bald man. The protagonist quickly decided this dangerous place was not suitable for him to sell his items, and walked away from the noisy, fighting crowd. He continued down a quiet street, hoping to find a more peaceful shop. He spotted a small shop with a sign and hesitated, pondering if this quiet place would be okay. He cautiously opened the door to the shop, asking, "Anyone here?" He felt uncertain, but then a cheerful woman with glasses greeted him with a wide, welcoming smile. She happily welcomed him to the Heija shop, and he told her he was there to sell some items. She asked if he was a hunter, and he explained that his abilities had awakened, but he didn't have a hunter's license yet. She understood and asked him to fill out a form before she could help him further. He thanked her and sat down at a table to start filling out the paperwork. He looked at the form, wondering what to write about where his items came from. He sighed, knowing he couldn't just say he caught ants in a game, but he needed the money for house repairs. Just then, the bell above the door rang, signaling new customers arriving at the Hayaja shop. A group of burly men walked in, and one greeted the shop owner, Miss Dahye, who thanked him for his continued business. The protagonist's special eye ability showed him information about the first man, male human, 29 years old. Remarks, weak muscles. He looked at the next one, male human, 35 years old. Remark, weak muscles as well. He wondered how his eye could call such muscular men weak, finding the assessment too harsh. The burly man, unaware, told Miss Dahye he brought decent items because her shop wasn't doing well. Miss Dahye thanked him, and the protagonist's eye assessed the third man as male human, 31 years old. Remarks, uses lowly flames. The protagonist felt annoyed that his blind god's eye kept making strange assessments, and then his eyes met with one of the new customers, who looked surprised. The assessment was complete, and Miss Dye exclaimed in surprise, seeing what the customer brought out. A set of mithril armor? The customer laughed proudly, saying he went through a lot of trouble to get the shiny armor. The protagonist's ability revealed the truth. It was trash scrap iron armor, used for 29 years, with a half-assed bewilderment skill active for a few hours, and it had 560 mana. The customer boasted about the armor's quality, but the protagonist loudly declared that it was a fake. The customer, ignoring the protagonist, told Miss Dye he would take 300 million won in cash. Miss Dye, surprised by the high amount, told him she would get the money from her safe. The customer smirked, but the protagonist quickly interrupted. He pointed at the armor, ready to expose the truth. Miss Dye looked at the armor with a magnifying glass, seeming uncertain. He firmly stated that the armor was fake and she shouldn't buy it, angering the customer who asked why he was meddling. The protagonist remained calm as the customer's face turned red with fury. The angry man grabbed the protagonist's collar, demanding proof for his claim. The protagonist raised his finger, showing composure while the thugs looked on. He demonstrated his crushing forefinger ability, ready to prove his words, as the aggressor was flung backward. He focused his power, preparing to reveal the armor's true nature. He touched the armor with his glowing finger, and the protagonist looked shocked at what happened next. The armor transformed back into rusty scrap metal, shocking Miss Dye and enraging the customer. The system confirmed the armor was trash scrap iron and suggested melting it immediately, while the customer glared angrily at the protagonist. The enraged customer tried to punch the protagonist, but the other men quickly intervened, stopping their boss from attacking. The protagonist easily blocked the punch. The customer, now realizing the protagonist was powerful, apologized, thinking he was a high-ranking hunter, and said they would like to leave quickly. The protagonist simply said okay, as the group quickly walked out of the shop. He wondered if they mistook him for a high-ranking hunter, while Miss Dye thanked him for helping and called him a hermit. He was surprised to be called a hermit as the group left. He quickly remembered the definition of a hermit: someone who lives a normal life without working as a hunter, usually eccentrics. He awkwardly tried to think of how to explain his situation to her, surrounded by a crowd of people. Then he remembered his main reason for being there, and asked her again if she still wanted to see the items he wanted to sell. She quickly agreed, ready to do business again. However, after inspecting the ring he offered, her face fell, and she looked disappointed. She sadly informed him that the ring only had 12 mana, making it a low-value D-class item. He looked surprised, thinking about the fake armor's high mana. He apologized for the low-value item, thinking about how the fake armor had 560 mana. He then wondered what his blind god's eye would assess the ring as. His eye revealed it was a druid's ring containing the life force of the forest, and surprisingly suggested he give this to Miri, who's nearby. The man looked up in shock, realizing that Miri was the Lightning Empress, who was standing right in front of him. People were trading items in the city, and a girl in a black cap watched from a distance. Someone was secretly watching her, wondering how she healed so fast. They thought it might be because of a very strong potion, and found it strange for a low-class hunter to have such an item. The observer thought that perhaps the girl in the black cap was actually a high-level hunter hiding her true strength. The observer believed that this person might really be able to hide their identity and heal that fast, and that they might really be able to break past their own limits. She then realized she was totally stalking the girl again, and felt a little embarrassed. She thought her sister would be really mad if she knew what kind of words she'll throw at her. Just then, the girl in the black cap, Miri, caught her eye. Miri seemed to have something to give, and a bright flash of power erupted around her. A huge surge of energy shot up from a tall building, lighting up the sky. A man with glasses, working on his laptop, was shocked. He saw a power level that was very high, even for top-ranked hunters. Miri, now in a school uniform, felt her power increase greatly because of a ring. The observer was again shocked to see Miri still thinking she had something to give. He tried to stop Miri as she reached out to him, wondering what he should do. He insisted, "Please take this. It'll definitely help you." Miri placed a glowing ring into his hand, leaving him stunned. Miri showed her hands, which glowed with power, as someone shouted, "Ki-ho! I." She looked down at her hands glowing intensely with green power, signaling something to the stunned man. The man looked at the glowing ring in his hand, amazed by its power. He couldn't believe she would give an incredible item like this away, especially one that increased her own power. From a balcony, the man and others watched Miri, surprised she gave away such a powerful item so easily. The group was incredibly impressed, praising Miri's actions. The man in the middle looked elated, but a serious woman warned Miri not to get too confident. The serious woman looked displeased, giving a slight "Oomph." A red-haired man commented on the woman's bossy nature. He then expressed his excitement about working with Miri in the future and suggested they go on raids together. Miri happily agreed to the raids, responding, "Ah yes." The red-haired man waved goodbye. The serious woman, Miri's sister, turned to Miri with an angry expression. The serious woman warned Miri not to get too confident, reminding her that she was still only an A-rank hunter. In response, Miri thought to herself, "Sorry, sister, I can't." Miri thought to herself that if that person she just met could help her surpass her limits, she could go beyond them. Back at home, the main character's special Blind God's Eye ability suddenly turned on, showing him a vision as his inherent authority activated. In this vision, a powerful figure commanded, "General, take Jim's edict." With the 5 million troops Jim commands. The order was to take down the monster held by the savage Black Tribe that massacred 100,000 troops of Hibiscus and Kim. The figure delivering the order continued, "Fourth Blade Kamakiri of the 10 Blades of the Emperor." Kamakiri, with his insect-like appearance and a vast army behind him, pledged, "I follow your command." The main character suddenly woke up with a sharp cry. He looked around, trying to figure out if it was all just a dream. He let out a sigh of relief, thinking, "Phew, thank goodness." Then, he paused, a dawning realization changing his expression. Wait, based on what's happened until now, that definitely wasn't just a dream. He realized, I almost got killed by 100,000 of them. He looked around at the swarm of enemies, thinking, but 50 times that. He hunched over in bed, distressed, thinking, just what do I do? His phone chimed, startling him as he looked down at the screen. He saw a message from Soundless Nightmare asking if he needed power. He replied, asking who it was. The sender then demanded he sacrifice 100 humans of his own kind, especially those related to him. Angered, he immediately blocked the contact, thinking, this bitch. Just then, his Blind God's Eye ability activated again, displaying a bright blue interface. He looked wide-eyed, completely shocked by what he was seeing. He saw a close-up of a monstrous creature's mouth, featuring huge, sharp teeth glowing under the spectral light. The vision continued, showing a fierce challenge to General Kamakiri from the monstrous beast amidst a large army. He instantly recognized that this was exactly what he had seen in his dream earlier. The voice boomed, I, General Kamakiri, will gouge out your eyes and sever your neck, and then offer your head to the great emperor. A digital clock appeared, causing him to look up in alarm as the vision faded. Fats. His phone screen confirmed the danger, showing a message that the saint and the 101 followers were afraid of the emperor's attack. He knew he had to get ready, preparing himself once more for the coming challenge. He tried to use his self-analysis ability, but it strangely wouldn't work on him. He was frustrated that it worked so well on other people but not on himself. Finally, it activated with great strain. The analysis results showed his specialties as irrational and a loser, making him very angry when he saw his reflection. He felt disappointed in his own power, recalling the huge hole he had punched in the wall previously. He remembered buying various items from the hunter store to help him. He was excited about an item called Gehenna's Flame, but it turned out to be nothing more than a fancy lighter, despite its cool name. He felt cheated, realizing he had been scammed again, as he showed the small flame on his finger. Oh, Gehenna's fire. So cool. He regretted not just throwing the item away when he got it, remembering it advertised great effects when used with God's condemning middle finger. He received a message from his supervisor, reminding him that a week had passed since his last manuscript was due. I should have just trashed this. The pressure from the supervisor's message made him gasp in fear, wondering, now what? He mentally apologized, thinking about all the bad things that had happened to him recently, as his supervisor's message ended with a cheerful yet demanding tone. He desperately needed Popcas, the blessing of the growing god, to help him finish his work. As he looked at his phone, a message appeared regarding his status. He was yelling out loud, I need the Popcas! His Godmaker's assimilation rate was increasing dramatically. His assimilation rate jumped from 5% to 10%, showing a significant boost in his power. His own special ability was strengthened, and he earned a new title, Merciful Redeemer. Outside, a crack in the building showed the damage, with someone noting, we're going in with 20 soldiers. The damage to his wall remained, a silent reminder of his struggles and intense efforts as he worked until he passed out surrounded by empty potion bottles. He woke up with a start, realizing that he had finally finished all his work. He looked at his laptop screen, realizing, ooh, now to send it to my supervisor. He stood up, finally ready to deliver his work after a long struggle. Meanwhile, Miri walked down the street, happily carrying a cake, but then she worried if it would be strange for her to know his address. She looked up at the building with the large hole, thinking, I need to make a good first impression to ask a favor. Miri told herself not to be nervous, deciding she would just accidentally run into him instead of knocking on his door directly. She resolved, I'll just bump into him. Miri walked up to the supervisor's apartment door, her heart pounding with nerves. With her heart pounding, Miri stood before the supervisor's apartment door, holding the package. Inside, the supervisor was still fast asleep at his desk, completely exhausted. Miri thought about offering him beef as a kind of peace offering or reward, shaking her head slightly. Miri then pressed the doorbell, waiting for the supervisor to answer. Seong Miri stood, trying to calm her racing heart, telling herself to just do what she needed to do. She walked up to a door, holding a pink gift box, her nervousness building with every step. She took a deep breath, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and determination, as she prepared to press the doorbell. With a soft chime, she finally pressed the button on the intercom. She waited patiently, wondering if the person she was looking for was not at home. Miri tried the door, surprised when it creaked open, revealing an empty hallway. She cautiously stepped inside, calling out for Mr. Yoo Ilshin, but the apartment looked messy and quiet. A large, broken hole in the wall showed the sky outside, hinting at some big trouble that had happened here. Meanwhile, Mr. Yoo Il-shin was at his office, looking tired from working late, knowing he was probably late again. His boss called him, angrily asking if he would miss another deadline, which made Il-shin jump in his seat. He quickly changed his clothes, feeling a burst of energy and excitement. He grinned, thinking about all the interesting things that were about to happen at once. A look of eager anticipation spread across his face, ready for what was next. He gave a confident, almost mischievous smile, looking forward to his upcoming plans. He imagined himself walking cheerfully down the street, anticipating a delicious Korean beef meal at his meeting. Suddenly, Il-shin woke up, chained to a chair in a dark, unfamiliar place. His captors were amazed he could sleep so deeply. 3 tough-looking men stood over him, chuckling at his helpless state. Even after waking, Il-shin still dreamed vividly of food, mumbling about Korean beef. He finally shook off his sleep, noticing one man with a hand glowing with fire, realizing his dream was far from real. He looked around in shock and confusion, wondering if he had truly been kidnapped. Fully awake, Il-shin took in the grim surroundings of the industrial-like room, confirming his worst fears about being kidnapped and wishing his Korean beef dream had been real. One of his captors, a 31-year-old man, proudly showed off a small flame in his hand, though a hidden system note called his flames insignificant. The other 2 captors, a 29-year-old and a 35-year-old, were both noted by the system as having feeble muscles. Il-shin was puzzled by the strange descriptions of insignificant flames and feeble muscles, wondering if these weak powers were some kind of trick. He then recognized the man as the swindler hunter he had met before, but he was certainly not happy about this reunion. Il-shin asked what they wanted, and the hunter explained he needed compensation for the trouble Il-shin caused last time, which disrupted his business. The hunter cheerfully added that they also accepted bank transfers, but Il-shin sadly claimed he didn't have his phone with him. To Il-shin's dismay, one of the captors held up his phone, showing they already had it. On the phone screen, a message flashed, "Evaluation successful." Then, a strange timer appeared on the phone, calculating the time until a massive army, led by General Kamakiri, would reach Il-shin, leaving him utterly confused. Before Il-shin could even process it, the timer instantly hit 0, causing him to scream in terror. He frantically shouted for them to untie him and throw the phone away, but one of his captors was suddenly hit by an unseen force. The man holding the phone screamed as a swirling red energy violently wrapped around him. The other captors watched in disbelief as their companion struggled, caught in the strange red force. Completely covered by the bright red energy, the man reached out desperately for help. The red energy then burst outwards, revealing a terrifying swarm of bug-like creatures that left the remaining captors stunned. An enormous army of armored bug-like creatures, with glowing red eyes and sharp weapons, filled the entire room. The captors looked around in confusion and fear, wondering what these bugs truly were as the swarm closed in. The room quickly filled with countless more of the menacing bug-like creatures. The flaming man thought Il-shin's ability was controlling these bugs, but Ilshin himself wondered if they just looked like bugs to these people as the swarm grew larger. The flaming man smirked, calling the ability unique, seemingly unafraid despite Ilshin still being tied up. The flaming captor unleashed a powerful torrent of fire, trying to burn all the invading creatures. He confidently declared he could burn them all, but Ilshin watched in horrified surprise. Ilshin was shocked, questioning why the flames, which were supposed to be insignificant, were so incredibly strong. He stared in wide-eyed disbelief at the intensity of the flames. The flaming man then turned to Ilshin, his expression dark, and asked how much Ilshin owed them for killing his younger brother, implying the bug-like creatures were his kin. The flaming man's anger intensified, his flames burning even brighter, as Ilshin felt completely doomed. Ilshin's face showed pure terror, realizing he was in an impossible situation. Suddenly, the muscular captor called out to his flaming companion, who was staggering and looking unwell. The flaming man collapsed to the ground, defeated. A strange, dark, glowing orb emerged from his fallen body, leaving Ilshin utterly bewildered. The muscular captor's face was filled with pure horror and shock. The muscular man was then brutally absorbed by one of the large bug-like creatures, which in turn powered up a massive catapult. The monstrous leader of the bug army commanded its forces to prepare the catapult, ready to attack. Ilshin and the remaining captor cried out for help, surrounded by the overwhelming bug army. The last captor desperately tried to escape, realizing the door wouldn't open and screaming for help. He pounded frantically on the unyielding door, trapped and terrified by the situation. Ilshin felt a chilling sense of déjà vu, remembering a similar desperate situation when he was trapped in his apartment. As the monstrous bug leader loomed, the catapult launched its projectiles, sending heavy stones flying through the air. Ilshin was hit by some of the debris, crying out in pain as blood splattered around him. Even the powerful flames from before couldn't stop this army, and now the captor who used them was bleeding on the floor. Ilshin questioned whether he would truly be able to make it out of this alive. The door was now severely damaged, covered in blood and splintered wood. The door handle hung loosely, barely clinging to the broken door. Ilshin's face was a picture of complete despair, his eyes filled with overwhelming fear. He deeply regretted not knowing how incredibly strong these creatures were from the start. He bitterly cursed the goddamned game that had brought him to this terrifying moment. As the bug army moved him closer, the bug leader declared that Ilshin's subordinates were all dead, and he would soon be killed too, making Ilshin believe his end was near. The bug leader advanced, threatening to kill Ilshin and turn him into a meal for its majesty. Suddenly, a distinct ding sound broke through the chaos, catching Ilshin's attention. He looked up, seeing a bright light rapidly approaching him. His phone activated on its own, displaying a message, "Activating small miracles effect." A blinding flash of light erupted, momentarily overwhelming the scene. A massive surge of blue electrical energy exploded from Ilshin, smashing everything around him. Ilshin was engulfed in the powerful blue energy, his face twisted in a cry of intense power. The fierce blue lightning struck the bug leader, sending it flying across the room with a loud impact. The bug leader, still reeling from the attack, angrily questioned who dared to attack His Majesty's army. Another powerful bolt of blue lightning shot out, pushing the bug leader back even further. A voice called out, asking Ilshin if he was all right, and demanding the hidden subordinate of the evil god reveal themselves. From the light, Song Miri appeared, identified as a 19-year-old female human. She looked incredibly excited, with blue electricity crackling around her hands, as she called out to Mr. Yoo Ilshin. Ilshin, still tied up, stared in awe and shouted her name, recognizing her as Lightning Empress Nim. A powerful blue energy bursts from the ground, signaling the start of a fierce battle. In the chaos, a woman and a chained man are caught in the intense blue lightning, as a monstrous entity emerges from the light. A giant, intimidating creature angrily questions how anyone dares to attack the Great Emperor's army. The monster mocks the chained man, saying he isn't even using his own hands. The chained man looks on as the woman prepares to channel more energy. The monster realizes the woman has enough power to call forth such a strong follower. The monster glares down, feeling the immense power coming from the evil god. A man with glowing purple eyes and a dark aura reveals himself, claiming to be the evil of all evils. He declares that he, Kamakiri, is the one who will destroy the empire and take the throne. This is an insertion based on context shift, but following the original flow for now, assuming the monster is Kamakiri or speaking for him/his side. Kamakiri, a general of the empire, stands ready for battle, proclaiming he will die here today. But before he falls, Kamakiri plans to take one of the evil god's followers to the grave with him. The chained man watches as more insect-like enemies appear, overwhelming the woman with blue energy. As the woman struggles, thinking about how many insects there are, A loyal insect soldier warns their general, Kamakiri, to seek shelter. Kamakiri, wielding a 1,000-blade weapon that tears all asunder, ignores the warning. He begs his god to pass down incredible authority to him. He confirms he will offer the heads of all his soldiers as tribute, staining his precious blade with blood. A ghostly winged figure with many eyes appears, asking if Kamakiri has prepared a sacrifice. Kamakiri faces the monstrous entity with many eyes above him. Kamakiri confirms, stating, "So be it," as he prepares for the dark deal. Kamakiri's own soldiers urge him to retreat. The general ignores them, glowing with sinister purple energy, preparing his next move. A bright purple light slices through the air, shocking everyone. The light continues to glow intensely as Kamakiri's blade rips through his own men. The woman, known as Sangmiri, stumbles back in shock as the chained man looks on with surprise. Kamakiri stands ready with his blade amidst the chaos. A system message reveals that Kamakiri, general of the empire, is now aiming for Sangmiri's neck with his blade. The chained man reacts in shock, asking who Kamakiri is aiming for now. A system window identifies Kamakiri and notes he is aiming for Sangmiri's neck. Kamakiri states she is a follower of the evil god. The chained man watches, feeling a surge of dark energy near him. Kamakiri attacks Sangmiri, declaring that her very existence is disrespectful towards the great emperor. Kamakiri prepares his attack, uttering a warning. Hey, wait. Sangmiri quickly prepares her own attack, realizing how fast he is. She unleashes the lightning, hitting Kamakiri with a direct strike of her lightning storm. The lightning engulfs Kamakiri, but he seems unfazed by the attack. The chained man watches in horror as Kamakiri cuts through Sangmiri's powerful lightning storm. Kamakiri lunges forward, his blade now even closer to Sangmiri, visible in her visor. He continues his relentless attack, closing the distance rapidly. The chained man cries out in despair, unable to help Sangmiri. Kamakiri's blade strikes Sangmiri, hitting her directly. She lets out a pained cry as the attack lands. The chained man closes his eyes, bracing himself for the sight. He opens his eyes to see the aftermath, reacting with a sound of distress. The chained man is left kneeling amidst the smoke, where Sangmiri fell. He watches in horror as Sangmiri lies motionless, blood staining the ground near her hand. Kamakiri stands over Sangmiri, saying only her life can pay for disrespecting the emperor. He then turns his attention to the chained man, calling him the evil god of the Black Tribe and declaring he must die. The chained man reacts, his face partially obscured by shadow. A strange, mouth-like altar with a glowing eye opens up, ready to consume something. The altar opens wider, revealing sharp teeth, as Kamakiri prepares to offer Yoo Ilshin. Kamakiri prepares to sacrifice the chained Yoo Ilshin to his god, while Sangmiri lies beside him. A system message reveals that this scenario is a nightmare that has yet to fully pass, and Yoo Ilshin is a being who can change fate. Yoo Ilshin clenches his teeth, frustrated. The message confirms this is a nightmare that hasn't fully happened, showing Sangmiri lying injured. Yoo Ilshin curses the insect bastards. Another message appears, stating that this fate will occur soon, as Kamakiri stands over Yoo Ilshin, ready to kill him. Kamakiri declares he will send Yoo Ilshin to his followers as well, sealing his fate. Yoo Ilshin recalls the thankful people who saved him 3 times. A system prompt asks Yoo Ilshin if he will change mortal fate with God's authority, at the cost of 100,000 God coins. He looks determined. Yoo Ilshin bravely decides to say yes, triggering the consumption of his God coins, while Kamakiri reacts with surprise. Yoo Ilshin's eyes glow with intense power as he activates his ability. A system message confirms that time is being traversed and fate is being altered using God's authority. Blue energy swirls around, showing the timeline being rewound or changed, while Sangmiri is still fighting. Sangmiri looks on, sensing something different about Yoo Ilshin as Kamakiri is mid-attack. Kamakiri senses the danger from Yoo Ilshin, realizing something has changed. Kamakiri shouts, "Die," as he launches his attack, while the system confirms 100,000 God coins were consumed. Sangmiri shields herself, fearing she might die from the attack. The chains holding Yoo Ilshin suddenly break apart in a flash of blue energy. A system message confirms that Sangmiri's fate is now being changed. Yoo Ilshin grabs Sangmiri just as Kamakiri's blade is about to strike. He quickly pulls her out of harm's way, disappearing in a blur. Kamakiri's blade misses its target, hitting empty air instead, as Sangmiri looks on in confusion. Kamakiri is shocked to see his attack failed and Sangmiri gone. Yoo Ilshin stands firm, holding Sangmiri close, his eyes glowing with renewed power. He gently sets Sangmiri down, now free from his chains and ready to fight. Seong Miri, confused but safe, looks at Yoo Ilshin, who calmly asks if she, the Lightning Empress, is all right. She is surprised and affirms she is okay, shocked by his sudden action and power. Kamakiri yells at Yoo Ilshin, calling him a puny evil god and ordering him to die. Yoo Ilshin dismisses Kamakiri as an annoying insect. Kamakiri is surprised as Yoo Ilshin prepares a powerful, god's condemning attack. Yoo Ilshin raises his hand, gathering immense power into a glowing finger. With a powerful middle finger gesture, he unleashes his attack. The attack blasts towards the structure in the distance, a warehouse-like building. During sunset, the building explodes in a massive, fiery blast. The entire area is engulfed in a raging inferno, leaving destruction in its wake. Kamakiri, caught in the flames, desperately tries to praise his emperor, but his words are cut short. Yoo Ilshin stands amidst the flames with Seong Miri, who coughs from the smoke. Yoo Ilshin looks at the stunned Seong Miri, who seems to be realizing something about him. Seong Miri wonders who Yoo Ilshin truly is, while he casually picks up a small knife. She then realizes he is the one who will be her master, acknowledging his immense power. Yoo Ilshin, however, is simply annoyed by the intense heat around them, a stark contrast to Seong Miri's awe. A young man stands alone, looking worried and a little sweaty. He seems to be in a difficult situation. Outside, a hand holds a small shovel, suggesting someone is busy with work or cleaning. The city background is bright and clear. The young man looks surprised as a girl kneels before him, offering to take over his work as her master. She holds the shovel with enthusiasm. The girl confidently carries a heavy bag, looking eager to help, while the man watches her, still quite confused by her actions. The man touches his chin, deep in thought, and still looking very puzzled by the girl's persistent dedication. The girl offers him a worker's helmet, but he looks unsure, wondering why he would need such a thing. He doesn't understand her intentions. With a hopeful expression and sparkling eyes, the girl asks him if he is a hermit, showing her admiration. The man realizes she has completely misunderstood him and tries to correct her, but she seems lost in her own thoughts. The girl suddenly drops to her knees again, begging the man to accept her as his disciple and become her master. The man is startled. She pleads with him to make her stronger, promising to do anything it takes, even if it's difficult, and asks him to accept her. The man looks out a window, thinking he needs to finish something quickly, perhaps trying to escape the awkward situation. Later, both the man and the girl are seen diligently cleaning up a very messy area, working together to make it better. The man awkwardly calls her Lightning Empress, and she happily asks him to call her Miri instead, still referring to him as master. He quickly tells her he never agreed to be her master, and then asks how long she plans to stay, but she just smiles confidently. She declares she will stay until he teaches her, while the man protests, saying he's just an average G-class person trying to make her understand. The girl shows him a ring, explaining it's the one he gave her, which made her much stronger, and credits him for her new power. The man tries to explain that he just picked up the ring by chance, but he's happy it helped her, still looking overwhelmed by her belief in him. Despite his efforts to clarify, the girl insists on making up for her mistake and pleads for a chance, leaving the man utterly confused. The man suddenly notices that their hard work has transformed the messy place into a proper living space. He expresses his surprise at the change. The man and the girl are busily cleaning and painting, making the room look much tidier and more livable. The room is now beautifully redecorated with floral wallpaper, and the man, still holding a paint roller, admires their amazing work. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound, like thunder, startles both the man and the girl. They look around, wondering about the noise. The man asks if it's going to rain, but the girl clarifies that the sound was just her stomach rumbling from hunger. He suggests they order food since they worked hard, and the girl excitedly requests black bean noodles. However, the girl receives an emergency alert on her phone and tells her master they must postpone the noodles for another time. The man looks at his phone, then pauses, seemingly coming up with an idea to help. The girl is putting on her helmet, ready to leave, when the man calls out to her, getting her attention. He hands her a glowing potion, telling her to take it. The girl is astonished, comparing him to a famous hunter. The man explains he doesn't know who that is, but assures her the potion will help if she drinks it. She thanks her master and promises to cherish it. He notes it's just a small potion, and she readily agrees, then jumps out the window, ready for her mission, as he waves goodbye. The girl leaps powerfully from the window, now wearing her helmet, soaring through the air towards her emergency. The man watches her disappear into the distance, then sighs, realizing he'll have to eat his noodles alone. Back inside, The man eagerly receives his food, finally able to enjoy his meal. As he eats, a news report on TV announces that an S-class Drake monster has appeared at the Congress Parliament, making him question the location. Other customers in the restaurant express their disdain for the Parliament, hoping the monster causes significant damage there. The news continues, reporting that a hunter quickly arrived to buy time for civilians to escape the monster's rampage. The reporter then reveals that the hunter bravely facing the S-class Drake alone is B-class Hunter Lightning Empress, causing the man to spit out his food in shock. The news acknowledges that a B-class hunter is typically no match for an S-class monster, and reinforcements are being requested. Meanwhile, the monster appears, towering over buildings. The news anchor states that they will be broadcasting the intense battle live. The man watches the screen with growing concern. The man cries out, worried about the danger of facing an S-class monster. The powerful Drake snarls on the screen, its eyes glowing red. The monstrous Drake lets out a terrifying roar, showing its sharp claws and immense power. The Drake unleashes a devastating attack, causing a large explosion and tearing through its surroundings. The monster continues its destructive assault, shattering buildings and causing widespread chaos with its powerful strikes. Lightning Empress is thrown back, landing painfully on the ground after being hit by the monster's attack. She looks injured and vulnerable. She bravely tells a frightened civilian to run to safety, promising to stop the monster herself. She is trying to protect everyone. Lightning Empress stands alone against the gigantic S-class monster, questioning if she has enough power to face it. She looks worried and uncertain. A shadowy figure of another woman appears, warning Lightning Empress against acting recklessly and hinting at consequences if her sister finds out. Lightning Empress attempts to counterattack the monster, but her efforts seem to be insufficient as the monster easily shrugs off her blow. She tries to steel her resolve, telling herself to focus and not get sidetracked during the intense battle. With a surge of electricity, Lightning Empress powers up, a powerful aura of blue lightning surrounding her as she prepares her next move. She launches herself into the air, completely engulfed in brilliant blue lightning, ready to strike the monster. Lightning Empress moves with incredible speed, zipping through the air, leaving trails of lightning as she evades attacks. She unleashes a massive, concentrated blast of lightning directly at the S-class Drake, causing a huge explosion of blue energy. A news reporter excitedly announces that Hunter Lightning Empress has successfully taken down the Drake, praising her as a hero. The crowd cheers loudly for Lightning Empress, calling her cool. She smiles, believing she has won the fight, but her celebration is short-lived as she cries out in pain. The monster, still alive, retaliates with a powerful blow. The S-class Drake roars defiantly, glowing with menacing red energy, showing it is far from defeated. The monster lunges again, unleashing another fierce attack, causing a violent impact. Lightning Empress collapses to the ground, realizing she truly didn't have enough power to fully defeat the monster, which looms over her. The news crew looks on in horror, realizing the danger as the situation takes a turn for the worse. Lightning Empress struggles to get up, and the ghostly figure reappears, sternly warning her not to act out again. The mysterious woman's voice echoes, calling her B-class, and Lightning Empress looks up, confused and hurt by the words. As she lies defeated, the small potion bottle the man gave her rolls away, unnoticed on the ground. The news reporter grimly states that while the Drake seems fine, Lightning Empress's whereabouts are unknown, as the monster prepares another attack. The news crew panics, seeing the monster advancing towards them and expressing their hope for Lightning Empress's safety. The enormous S-class Drake raises its head, glowing with dangerous energy, ready to deliver a final devastating blow. Suddenly, blue lightning crackles around the ground, and a powerful energy surges. The dropped potion bottle glows brightly. Lightning Empress stands up, now surrounded by a powerful aura of blue electricity, ready to face the monster again with renewed strength. The news excitedly declares that Lightning Empress is back in action, as she stands tall, radiating intense electrical power. Her eyes glow with fierce blue energy through her helmet, looking determined and ready to finish the battle once and for all. A massive, dark monster with glowing red eyes appeared, making everyone below it gasp in fear. Among the scared crowd, a woman looked up with a serious expression, ready to face the giant creature. Suddenly, the monster was hit by an unseen force, causing it to flinch and kick up dust. Bright flashes of lightning erupted all around the monster, showing an intense battle was taking place. The woman, now wearing a school uniform, stood engulfed in lightning, channeling immense power. She gathered the lightning energy in her hands, preparing for a powerful attack. With a shout, she unleashed a fierce storm of lightning, while a man watched the dramatic scene unfold on his TV screen at home. People at a restaurant were amazed by the Lightning Empress, commenting on her incredible power and youthful appearance. The man watching, Yoo Ilshin, wondered how an A-class hunter who looked like a student was already defeating an S-class monster so easily. The Lightning Empress, Miri, was live on TV after her victory, still in her school uniform and helmet. She proudly gave a thumbs up to the camera, asking her master if he was watching her success. Miri credited her quick victory to a potion Ilshin gave her, praising him as the best ever. Back home, the man watching, Yoo Ilshin, wondered how she was eating black bean noodles at his house while being so popular. Miri happily ate her black bean noodles, thanking Ilshin for buying her dinner. Ilshin suggested she should go home before her family worried, but Miri sadly replied that she had no one to worry about her. Ilshin found it hard to believe such a pretty girl wouldn't have parents who cared. Miri's expression turned grim as she revealed both her parents were dead. She explained they died during the tragic Nether Dragon incident, which shocked Ilshin. Ilshin remembered the Nether Dragon as a terrifying beast that the entire world struggled to defeat. He recalled it caused millions of deaths, then instantly regretted bringing up such a painful memory. He quickly tried to cheer her up by offering her more food, saying she must have used a lot of energy. Miri looked at him, surprised by his kind gesture. With a bright smile, she happily accepted his offer and continued eating. As Miri ate, Ilshin glanced at his phone, noticing something new on his screen. His phone displayed a message that he had gained Miri's trust and could activate faith if she said a specific key phrase, making him wonder if he was in a visual novel game. He paused, thinking back to a previous encounter with a saintess. He hoped activating faith would give him god coins again, like it did last time. Considering that monster ambushes could happen at any moment, he knew he needed all the resources he could get. He decided that more god coins were always better, and asked Miri for a favor. Miri, eager to help her master, brightly told him she would do anything he asked. Feeling a bit awkward, Ilshin asked if she could just repeat something he said. He began to say the phrase carefully. Miri looked puzzled, and Ilshin quickly apologized, thinking he asked her to say something too strange. To his surprise, Miri interrupted him and declared, "I trust you." With a radiant smile, she then confidently said the full activation phrase, "I trust you, Ilshin Mim." Ilshin stared at his phone, stunned by her response. A notification popped up, confirming, "You've succeeded in forming faith." Ilshin reacted with an "Ah." The system congratulated him, informing him that Miri was his first follower on Earth, and his total followers were now 1,102. Ilshin was more concerned about the missing coins, but then he noticed a new skill-sharing menu had been created. He realized he could borrow his followers' skills, and Miri was already listed as an available target for skill sharing. Frustrated, Ilshin complained loudly about the game, saying he wanted coins, while Miri looked confused by his outburst. Ilshin thought about deleting the game, while Miri pondered why her master was acting so odd, unaware of the small portal of dark energy swirling near her. More strange, insect-like beings appeared in his apartment, unnoticed by Miri. One of them, the evil god of the Black Tribe, recognized Ilshin. The delegation from another realm discussed how their majesty had made a great choice by offering Ilshin a high position. They planned to show Ilshin, whom they called an evil god, his majesty's generosity, as he was seen as important for a coming war. Ilshin, seeing the lightning storm skill from Miri available for sharing, decided to try it, even though he suspected it was a trap. He raised his hand and activated the skill, calling out, "Skill sharing, Song Miri." Immediately, a powerful lightning bolt struck Ilshin's apartment, electrocuting the delegation and causing widespread destruction. A massive explosion of blue and yellow lightning consumed the area. Miri watched, amazed, recognizing these as the evil god's powers. She cheered excitedly, thrilled that her master could wield such incredible lightning abilities. Ilshin, however, was annoyed by the destruction and told the evil god to quiet down, as he was causing commotion every day, while Miri just kept praising his lightning powers. Ilshin tried to explain that the destruction was not the important part of the situation. He looked heartbroken and on the verge of tears, devastated by the massive repair fee he now faced for his apartment. Miri, still smiling, asked her master what was wrong, oblivious to his distress. Meanwhile, in a grand palace, A powerful dark figure on a throne was enraged by something terrible that had happened. The ruler angrily demanded to know who had slaughtered my delegation. A grasshopper-like subordinate tried to explain that Ilshin suddenly attacked with lightning, but the ruler furiously blamed him for sending a delegation to such a savage evil god. The subordinate was then painfully struck down for his mistake and the ruler's anger. A formidable warrior general stood over the fallen subordinate, commanding him to pay for upsetting his majesty. The incensed ruler, having sat on his throne for 500 years, demanded the head of the foolish and ignorant evil god who dared to insult him. His subjects, including the general, immediately pledged their obedience, vowing to fulfill his majesty's command to protect the honor of their divine empire. The scene shifts. Back on Earth, Miri was seen running at incredible speed, kicking up dust as she trained hard. Ilshin watched her, surprised by the trails of dust she left behind. He was amazed that she could run so fast without using her special abilities, recognizing the strength of a high-class hunter. Miri then asked if she should run more laps. Ilshin was astonished, asking if she had already completed 100 laps, to which she cheerfully replied, "Yup." He offered her a drink, telling her to take a break before continuing her intense training. Miri gratefully accepted the small bottle, which Ilshin thought was just a regular energy drink, but somehow worked wonders for her. Ilshin thought her calling him master was silly, but since he accepted her as his disciple, he felt responsible for her training. He realized he could only offer her his potions, and then suggested squats for her next exercise. Miri readily agreed. Suddenly, Ilshin had an idea. He could use his blind god's eye ability to properly evaluate Miri's powers and plan her training. As Miri started doing squats, Ilshin activated his unique ability, blind god's eye. The system confirmed the activation and stated that it was reaching the opponent's state of mind. Ilshin's vision shifted, and he looked around in confusion, wondering where he had suddenly been transported. He winced as a golden light enveloped him, his eyes glowing intensely. Around him, powerful energy crackled, and heavy chains appeared, pulsating with electricity. Ilshin found himself standing before a colossal chained tiger made of lightning, utterly shocked by the vision. A powerful golden aura bursts forth, surrounded by thick chains. As a massive creature roars, the full form of a glowing tiger-like beast is revealed, bound by chains, towering over a tiny person who looks shocked. The small figure below stares up, exclaiming, "Wah! What is this?" A system message appears explaining that Song Miri's true nature, an S rank, has been sealed for 10 years by SS rank chains. The man looks on with a thoughtful expression as the massive sealed power radiates intensely. The beast growls with raw power, still bound by glowing chains, making the man realize the implications of the situation. The creature growls again as the man faces the immense, contained power. Later, under a warm sky, the man bids farewell to Miri and another student outside the academy. Miri happily waves goodbye to her teacher, who tries to remind her to drink her potion before sleeping, but she is already gone. Miri dashes away at incredible speed, leaving a trail of dust, showing just how powerful she already is. The teacher is left coughing in her dust. The teacher, still a bit stunned, wonders how much stronger Miri will become once her powerful chains are completely cut. Shaking off his worries, he decides he will figure it out eventually, as curious students watch him from afar. He then tries to use his god's crushing forefinger skill on one of the glowing chains, focusing his energy, which causes a small break. He realizes that if he can only cut this much at once, it will take forever to break all of Miri's chains. He also wonders who could have chained such a powerful being. Shaking off his worries, he decides he will figure it out eventually, as curious students watch him from afar. As he walks home, looking tired, he stretches his back after a long day while observing the busy street. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears behind another student, attempting to ambush them from the crowded street. The man quickly reacts to the danger and screams in pain and surprise, clutching his head as something seems to have gone very wrong. Arriving home, he sees his house is completely destroyed and exclaims that Miri's chains are no longer his main problem compared to his ruined home. He checks his phone, seeing a notification pop up, and wonders what it could be now, feeling exhausted. The notifications are from Soundless Nightmare, which looks at him sorrowfully, and The Thousand Blade That Cuts All, which looks at him with resentment, both of whom he previously blocked. The man holds his phone, annoyed, recognizing The Thousand Blade That Cuts All as the blade's owner and reacting dismissively to its message. He realizes with a shock that these entities can read his thoughts, noting that he now has 2 annoying stalkers. Growing even more irritated, he shows an angry expression. Soundless Nightmare requests for him to unlock it, and The Thousand Blade That Cuts All requests for him to return its god sword, causing him to grab his head in frustration. He angrily tells them to stop, reminding them how he almost died getting that god blade and accusing them of being bastards. The 1,000 blade that cuts all immediately offers 2.2 million god coins as tribute for its return, prompting the man to shout in disbelief about them using stolen money. Soundless Nightmare laughs, calling him cute, and offers 10 million coins for the blade instead, making the man momentarily pause. He considers the large sum, realizing it could buy him a good low-rank authority or item, and also plenty of potions for Miri. Soundless Nightmare laughs, calling the 1,000 blade that cuts all broke. In response, the 1,000 blade that cuts all sheds a tear and says it will offer its unique authority in exchange. The 1,000 blade that cuts all offers its unique authority, Ultra Blade, appealing that no one would dare face him with it, which sounds cool to the man. He nods in satisfaction, thinking about how appealing that sounds. Then, Soundless Nightmare laughs again, offering its own unique authority, Rose that blooms at night, which leaves him puzzled by the name. His face lights up with a grin, wondering if anyone else wants to offer him more. He stands in his broken house, satisfied with the results of the bidding, holding his phone and looking pleased. His phone shows he has received Ultra Blade 2.2 million god coins and 3 uses of 1,000 Blades treasure from the 1,000 Blade that cuts all. He also received Rose that blooms at night from Soundless Nightmare. He decides to save the 1,000 Blades treasure, since it can only be used 3 times, and wonders about Ultra Blade and Rose that blooms at night, thinking he should try them out while sitting amidst the rubble of his home. He tries to activate Rose that blooms at night, speaking the authority's name aloud, looking eager. He looks confused, sitting in his damaged house, as nothing seems to happen, making him question why it isn't working. A system message appears, revealing that Rose that blooms at night only activates when the user is asleep. He gets angry, yelling at the phone, wondering how he's supposed to know what it does if it only works when he's sleeping. Annoyed, he curses himself for trusting a stalker and decides to try the next one, Ultra Blade, looking worn out. He sighs in frustration as nothing happens when he tries to activate Ultra Blade as well, feeling like he was scammed while sitting outside his damaged home. With a red glow around him and a growing compulsion, he yells angrily, feeling a bizarre urge building up. A message appears stating Ultra Blade is activating, and he feels a strange compulsion taking over him, causing him to drool slightly. I feel weird. Why am I like this? He whispers that he wants to cut things, a sinister smile creeping onto his face as he gives in to the urge. With a crazed look, his eyes glow red, and he holds a knife tightly, red energy pulsing around him, ready to cut. He continues with a manic smile, saying he wants to cut everything, as he runs wildly through the streets, perhaps realizing he is being controlled. He is seen running frantically through the city streets, screaming, "I'll cut everything!" The scene shifts to a dark building window at night, indicating a change in time or location. Later, back at work, he is seen standing near his coworkers. One coworker announces she is heading out first, while the other replies, Sure, Tilda." Another coworker tells her partner to wrap up and leave, but the partner replies that there are still vegetables left to cut. The coworker then points at him, saying they have him to help, and the partner realizes it is true. He is seen chopping a large pile of vegetables, while his coworker expresses gratitude for him being a regular customer and helping out. With wide, crazy eyes and a frantic smile, he is still cutting vegetables, his movements uncontrolled and driven by the blade's cut-everything power. He stumbles, breathing heavily, clearly exhausted, entering his doorway. He leans against a door frame, breathing heavily, feeling like he's going to die from exhaustion, looking at the knife. He realizes the Ultra Blade and the knife are dangerously controlling him, making him fear for his sanity. He collapses onto his bed, swearing he'll never touch the knife again, his body reacting to the exertion as he sleeps soundly. While he sleeps soundly, a shadow looms large over the damaged room, suggesting he is not alone. Outside, a group of monstrous figures, led by Salju, wonders if the evil god is truly asleep. Salju confirms he is indeed asleep and declares that the honor of killing him will be theirs. One of the monsters, with fierce determination, states that today he will claim the seat as the best of the 10 blades. He proclaims he will take the spot instead of that gloomy spider, and orders his minions to go, to which they eagerly agree. As the man sleeps peacefully, a notification appears indicating that the conditions for Soundless Nightmare's unique authority, Rose that blooms at night, have been met. A glowing red rose with thorns begins to emerge from his chest as he sleeps, shining brightly. The attacking monsters look shocked as a brilliant light emanates from his sleeping body. The thorny red rose fully blooms, shining brightly beside the sleeping man and his phone. In a flash of dark energy, the rose unleashes its power as the monsters advance to strike. Sharp, thorny vines with teeth-like edges burst forth from the ground, surrounding the surprised attackers in a terrifying embrace. The thorny vines completely entangle the invaders, who are caught in a dark, nightmare-like grasp as one of the pods begins to close. Salju, the leader of the attacking monsters, looks on in horror, realizing the true power of the rose. The terrifying, thorny rose glows brightly, and a message appears declaring that these pathetic creatures should tremble in fear because their nightmares will soon bloom. A strange and dangerous-looking flower, with sharp, toothy petals, floats in the air, glowing with an eerie purple light. This monster flower, called the Nightmare Flower, hovers over a group of people, making them tremble in fear as it promises their nightmares will soon bloom. Among the terrified crowd, Salju confirms that this is indeed the terrible nightmare flower from their tribe's old stories. Her people ask her what they should do, referencing the ancient legends that say this terrible god once devoured most of the continent's population 3,000 years ago. Meanwhile, Yoo Ilshin is seen peacefully sleeping in his room, a tiny flower on his chest. Salju, the leader, bravely tells her people not to be afraid, promising that their actions this day will be remembered forever. She prepares to fight. With a determined look, Salju takes a powerful stance, ready to face the monstrous nightmare flower head-on. Her loyal followers declare their unwavering support, stating they will follow Salju into battle against the terrifying foe. Salju then commands her tribe to advance toward the main part of the flower, carefully avoiding its moving branches, and they quickly agree. The battle is fierce, and one of the tribe members gets caught by a branch of the nightmare flower, screaming in pain. One follower responds, "Yes, ma'am." Salju looks on in shock as the flower's monstrous mouth, filled with sharp teeth, opens wide, ready to swallow its prey. Other tribe members are also ensnared by the flower's thorny vines, desperately crying out for help, while Salju yells in frustration by the grim situation. Despite the danger, Salju bravely leaps forward toward the wide-open maw, determined to fight with all her might. One of her comrades cries out for help as Salju seems to strike one of the flower's heads, causing a violent reaction. Salju prepares a powerful attack. With a fierce look on her face, she unleashes a strong, red-colored energy attack towards the formidable plant, surrounded by writhing vines. The powerful blast strikes the nightmare flower, causing a massive surge of purple energy to explode around it. Salju declares her fierce resolve to confront the monster flower, vowing that even if she cannot defeat the evil god, she will take the disciple to death with her. She unleashes her attack, ready to meet her end fighting alongside it. The attack seems to have been absorbed by the monster, causing Salju to look shocked and utterly crushed, thinking the situation is impossible to overcome. Meanwhile, in his own world, Yoo Ilshin is still fast asleep. His expression changes as he lets out a sound of distress in his sleep. He slowly starts to wake up, feeling a strange sensation, and sits up in his bed. Sitting up, he wonders why his stomach feels so surprisingly full. Feeling annoyed, he looks at his phone, wondering what new message or event awaits him. His phone displays an urgent message. The Holy Maiden and her 101 followers desperately wish to be rescued by Yoo Ilshin. Yoo Ilshin reacts with a surprised, "Huh," while the Holy Maiden, who looks like a small white furry creature, and her followers appear to be suffering on the dusty ground. Yoo Ilshin, surprised by the sudden plea, quickly activates his blind god's eye ability on his phone. He groans in concern as the system finishes its evaluation of the situation. The evaluation reveals a strange truth. The Holy Maiden and her followers are addicted to killer bee venom. Yoo Ilshin is shocked by this information and wonders how they got addicted, joking about whether they invaded a honeycomb for honey. Worried that they might die, he shouts for them to wait and notices the miracle menu activating on his screen. A special NU miracle option appears on his phone, ready to be used. The system asks if he wants to perform a miracle of healing, explaining that it needs his divine power and 100,000 god coins. Yoo Ilshin agrees without hesitation, saying he has plenty of coins and divine power, and the system confirms that 100,000 god coins are used. A portion of the fruit of the world tree that he once absorbed is used as an ingredient, and the miracle is performed as he wished. He then wonders if they are now okay. Immediately after performing the miracle, Yoo Ilshin feels an intense wave of sleepiness wash over him, making him question if this is happening again. Completely exhausted, he collapses and falls fast asleep on the floor of his room. While he sleeps, His good god title, Merciful Redeemer, gets an upgrade, moving from E-class to D-class. He looks sleepy, still resting on the floor. Even more surprisingly, Yoo Ilshin's overall character tendency changes from evil to neutral. Some of the other powerful good gods, including Bountiful Abundance, begin to take notice of him. Meanwhile, the Holy Maiden is shown coughing up thick black venom as she sleeps. The Holy Maiden and her followers are still suffering, expelling black substances from their mouths. She desperately pleads with a higher power, begging for a miracle and pity for her suffering tribe as dark venom splatters near her hand. With tears streaming down her face, she continues to implore for a divine miracle to save them. Suddenly, a bright, golden light appears high in the sky, catching her attention. The golden light grows stronger, shining down intensely upon the land. Then, a radiant golden rain begins to fall from the heavens. The Holy Maiden cries out in joy as the golden rain washes away their venom, believing God Yoo Ilshin has blessed them. She and her people express their sincere thanks, declaring they will repay him with their unwavering faith. The Holy Maiden weeps tears of profound gratitude, offering her heartfelt thanks to Yoo Ilshin. She encourages everyone to offer a tribute to Yoo Ilshin as a strong sign of their belief and loyalty. The tribe members are eager and ready to give their tributes to Yoo Ilshin, shouting in affirmation. Back in his room, Yoo Ilshin stirs slightly but remains fast asleep, with a faint trail of drool. He slowly wakes up again, rubbing his eyes and wondering why he feels so incredibly tired. He is startled to find Miri, his trainer, in his room, who explains she came because he missed training and she was worried. Yoo Ilshin apologizes and then points to something strange in his room that seems to be calling for his attention, but Miri doesn't seem to notice it. He stares in disbelief at the strange object in his room, utterly confused. It's a huge, shiny, muscled statue of himself, described as fucking ugly, which the black tribe made out of extreme gratitude. Yoo Ilshin is completely horrified by its appearance. He loudly calls the statue ugly, but Miri, standing next to him, questions his judgment. Miri finds the statue incredibly impressive and even kinda cute, asking if she can have it, much to Yoo Ilshin's horror. Yoo Ilshin tells Miri that she seriously needs to get her eyes checked if she thinks the statue is anything but ugly. He explains to Miri that he can't train today because of the mess the statue has made, and she agrees to train another time. Yoo Ilshin tries to focus on his script, but another notification pops up on his phone, interrupting him once more. The notification reveals a sprout of the world tree, which grew because of his miracle, but it's sick and will wilt in less than 24.5 hours. He's shocked that it's sick. He tries to use his blessing of the growing god on the sprout, but it has no effect. He remembers the world tree fruit instantly healed his burn wounds before. Realizing the potential, he decides that if he can nurture the sprout and make it grow, he'll be able to sell its fruits. With glowing eyes, he searches his store for solutions. He scrolls through the options on his phone and excitedly finds an item he believes will help. He discovers Tears of the Bountiful Abundance. For 20,000 god coins, a special good god exclusive item only for those selected by the goddess. To get the Tears of the Bountiful Abundance, he must complete a quest with a warning that if he fails, the 20,000 god coins won't be refunded. He finds himself cleaning the streets, picking up trash with tongs. He wonders if he really has to go through all this trouble just to save the world tree sprout. His good deed score increases by 1 point for helping to clean the world, but he complains about how slowly it rises, wondering when he will ever complete the quest. Suddenly, a stern old man confronts him, asking what a newbie is doing in his area, leaving Yoo Ilshin confused. The imposing old man stands over Yoo Ilshin, radiating a powerful and intimidating aura. The old man warns Yoo Ilshin that a newcomer like him should not dare to enter this territory. Yoo Ilshin mistakenly thinks the old man is a homeless person, but senses a misunderstanding and has a vague feeling he has seen this man before. Assuming the man is homeless and sensitive about his space, Yoo Ilshin offers him money for a warm meal. The old man, revealing himself as Choi Kang-san, becomes enraged by the offer of alms and unleashes an intimidating aura. Yoo Ilshin cries out in fear. Yoo Ilshin's eyes widen as he finally remembers who Choi Kang-san is. He realizes Choi Kang-san is a powerful S-class hunter who surprisingly used to work as a street cleaner. Choi Kang-san accepts the money, calling it a goodwill offering, and playfully taps Yoo Ilshin on the shoulder, who is still confused about how the money was given. Yoo Ilshin checks his good deed score again, wondering why it didn't increase after giving money to Choi Kang-san. He then sees Choi Kang-san drinking from a bottle, and realizes his score didn't go up because he gave money to a damned drunkard. Yoo Ilshin scolds Choi Kang-san, calling him Gramps, while Choi Kang-san mockingly refers to a younger man as Hyung Nim. The younger man, picking up trash, offers to dispose of it properly for Hyung Nim, further confusing Yoo Ilshin about who the real Hyung Nim is. Choi Kang-san laughs, praising the young man and asking Yoo Ilshin where he belongs. Yoo Ilshin awkwardly says he's a freelancer, and Choi Kang-san remarks that being alone is sometimes better. Suddenly, a loud, unsettling sound echoes through the street, grabbing both Yoo Il-shin and Choi Kang-san's attention. The sound is clearly identified as a monster, indicating that danger has appeared nearby. A young man was walking when an older man, holding a drink, approached him and quietly tossed something. The old man took a sip of his drink, and the young man, seeing what happened, quickly spoke up. The young man offered to throw away whatever the old man had in his bag, taking care of it for him. The old man was surprised and then laughed, complimenting the young man's good eye, and asked who he worked for. The young man explained he was a free agent, and the old man chuckled, saying it was better to work alone anyway, just as a strange sound filled the air. The young man looked up, startled by the sound, realizing that monsters had suddenly appeared. People around them were scared and confused, wondering what to do now that monsters were here. The old man, however, seemed pleased, saying the monsters were finally here, just as he had predicted. He then grabbed the young man, telling him he was leaving now and asking if he wanted to come along too. The old man laughed loudly, saying he liked the young man as he continued to drag him. The young man protested, thinking there must have been a mistake, feeling uneasy about the situation. He was still being pulled along by the old man, who was moving very fast. The old man laughed again, saying it sounded like the young man was having a good time. The old man stopped for a moment, looking around thoughtfully. He noted that there was an 80% chance for a rift to occur, confirming his prediction was correct. He then looked down at the young man who had passed out, wondering if he was only B-class. Suddenly, a massive monster appeared, startling the old man. He realized it was Beelzebub and eagerly looked forward to a good workout fighting it. The monster, Beelzebub, thought the unconscious young man was the rumored young god, and would make a perfect offering for its master. It noted that it had arrived before anyone else, ensuring it could take the young man as an offering. Beelzebub commanded the old man to get out of its way, its voice rumbling. The old man stood silently, then with a serious look, told the monster that it was making too much noise. He then powered up, ready to strike the monster down for its disturbance. With glowing eyes, the old man let out a roar as he attacked. He punched Beelzebub with all his might, screaming that the young man was his. Meanwhile, the unconscious young man's ability detected danger and began to activate. A beautiful yet dangerous giant rose with many thorns appeared, surrounded by glowing energy. The rose's core pulsed with dark magic, ready to strike. The system announced that the young man's inherent ability, Rose That Blooms at Night, given by Soundless Nightmare, was now activating. The old man looked surprised as the giant rose's power exploded. The rose's thorny vines wrapped around the huge monster. The monster was consumed by the rose's power, disappearing into a dark, purplish void. The young man slowly woke up, rubbing his head, wondering where he was. He found himself near a massive old tree. He saw a strange creature, resembling an ant in a robe, standing before a shrine with a burning torch. The young man was confused, asking what was happening. The ant-like creature turned around, asking if he was awake. The creature then called him their great and charitable god, leaving the young man utterly bewildered. He still felt confused and disoriented, surrounded by faint glows. The young man finally realized he was back in his original spot, but he felt a strange smell. He saw the old man lying on the ground, wounded and covered in blood, saying he was scared because he was eaten by a big flower. The young man gasped, wondering if the old man had fallen into the sewers because of the awful smell. A system message appeared, congratulating the young man for defeating the subordinate of an evil god and bringing peace to the world. He then received another message, stating he had exceeded the quest requirements, going far above what was needed. As a reward, he received an item called Bountiful Abundance, which activated and cured a sick world tree sapling. The young man grinned, dreaming of riches and finally being able to relax. The system congratulated him on successfully reviving the world tree and fueling the revival of the Black Tribe. He wondered what to do with the injured old man, thinking about just leaving him. He saw the old man stirring, making a small sound. The system then informed him that the more his followers' influence grew, the more powerful his divine powers would become, and he decided everything would be fine. An ambulance arrived, its lights flashing, ready to help the old man. Another message popped up, informing him that the Black Tribe had given him 2 stone statues of Yoo Ilshin, out of thankfulness for reviving the world tree. He was surprised, wondering why again. Later, people discussed how Choi Gang-san, the old man, had easily taken care of the monster, even after a long break, and was now in the hospital but uninjured. One of them asked if something was wrong, noticing a worried expression. The man explained that when he tried to give Choi Gang-san flowers, he had a very strong negative reaction. They wondered if Choi Gang-san might be allergic to flowers. They then changed the topic to how things were going with the hunters from the academy. Everything was ready, and the project would start as soon as Choi Gang-san left the hospital. They believed he would be a good teacher for the Lightning Empress child. They had high hopes for the combination of the best teacher and a talented pupil, looking out at the city lights. Back at his place, the young man Yoo Ilshin found the statues annoying. The two statues were muscled figures, proudly posing. Yoo Ilshin looked at the statues, wondering what part of them looked like him. Suddenly, his phone pinged. A message appeared on his phone from an ant-like creature, calling him our great and charitable god Yoo Ilshin. He was surprised, recognizing it as the ant from before. A system message confirmed that his sympathy rate with Antrinia had increased by 105 due to the stone statues. He couldn't believe he was communicating with ants by text. The ant texted him, asking to save its pitiful tribe members. The image on his phone showed many ant-like creatures, some appearing injured. Another system message popped up, explaining that these black tribe members were his devout followers and had been attacked by demonic beasts. He was shocked, asking about demonic beasts. Yoo Il-shin grew furious, loudly demanding to know who dared to mess with his followers. He declared that they should lead him to where the demonic beasts were. He promised to deal with them with his own two hands. His ant followers were overjoyed, thanking their lord Yoo Il-shin for blessing them. Yoo Il-shin, feeling a bit too excited, told them to lead the way, but soon realized something. He followed his numerous ant-like followers through a forest path. He continued to walk deeper into the forest. Yoo Il-shin noted that it was taking a very long time for the ants to lead him to the location. He walked behind the ant-like creatures who were eagerly guiding him. Suddenly, everything went dark, and he wondered what was happening now. Back in his room, Yoo Il-shin was looking at his phone, startled by what he saw. His system was scanning a target on his phone screen. He looked horrified as grotesque, giant insect-like creatures with glowing red eyes filled his vision. Yoo Il-shin screamed in terror as he saw a swarm of what looked like massive cockroaches in the forest. The system informed him that these were summoned cockroach beasts from the demon realm, summoned by a handler, and they duplicated every hour. He realized with horror that they were all cockroaches. A person screams in fear as they are surrounded by many large, dark, cockroach-like beasts. The creatures seem to have come out of nowhere, creating a terrifying scene. A sudden alert popped up, warning everyone about summoned cockroach beasts that multiply every hour, with only 1 second left until they duplicated. A man screamed in sheer terror as countless monstrous cockroaches swarmed around him. A huge man looked down in horror at the swarm of demonic beasts. He couldn't believe they were all cockroaches and wondered why there were so many of them. The overwhelming red energy pulsed as the sounds of chaos filled the air. The villagers were filled with fear, looking terrified as they realized the impossible situation they were in. They believed this was the end, and that everyone would die. One person bravely told everyone not to worry, reminding them of their strength and divine protection. The other people listened, looking a little scared but also hopeful. The person screamed loudly, their face full of panic as they were struck by a powerful force. Everyone around them was clearly terrified by what was happening. A mysterious figure with long, light hair raised a hand, while another person stood nearby looking anxious. In the distance, someone flew through the air, perhaps falling, as sounds of heavy impact echoed. The woman looked completely shocked, her eyes wide as she pressed her hands to her mouth in disbelief, as a figure rushed away from them. The people cried out in fear, feeling betrayed by their god as they thought it was all over for them. They desperately screamed for someone to save them from their awful fate. The followers cried out in terror, feeling that it was all over for them as the desperate situation intensified. A man stood looking up at a night sky full of sparkling lights and soft clouds outside a grand, ancient building. The magical glow lit up the area around him, creating a beautiful scene. From within the building, someone confidently affirmed their readiness to their lord. The lord's glowing red eyes peered out from behind a sheer curtain, confirming the hidden figure's ominous presence. The menacing dark beast declared that it would wait, but warned that death awaited anyone who failed. Meanwhile, a tiny figure raced down a long red path, urgently shouting about an important message. Someone from above yelled out a warning, asking who dared to make a scene. They threatened that if the message was not important, the person's head would be taken. A person woke up with a gasp, hearing that the cockroach beast tamer's creatures had multiplied into millions. They thought about how evil and ruthless that false god must be. A scary monster with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth looks out from a dark cloak, causing a sudden shock. Another strange figure can be seen standing behind it. This scene suggests the origin of the threat. Kaiva Asa called forth terrible cockroach beasts from the demon realm. These demonic creatures were known to multiply every hour, and now they had appeared. The demonic beast handler had summoned a huge, endless army of cockroach beasts from the demon realm. But luckily, the hero was prepared and had a giant can of bug spray ready to fight them off. Many cockroach-like beasts swarmed across the ground, causing trouble. A pair of feet stood tall above them, ready to take action. Many giant demonic beasts lay dead on the ground, defeated. The hero looked up at the sky, feeling the battle had ended. A man gasped and covered his mouth with a cloth, looking very surprised. Below him, another man shouted excitedly that he had found something. The main character wiped his face, feeling glad he had bought bug spray for such a situation. Even after spraying, a few of the multiplying bugs were still left alive. Even after fighting so many, the man still found a few remaining demonic beasts. He was sure not to miss any of them. A large cockroach monster roars as it's attacked by many people. Someone watching from nearby looks completely shocked by what's happening. Even after defeating all the demonic beasts, Kaiva looked around with a confused and worried expression. She questioned why something still felt off, even though she was sure she had gotten rid of every single one. A character suddenly screamed loudly, looking shocked at something on his phone. He seemed very surprised by what he was seeing. A character cried loudly, full of regret. They felt terrible for doubting their god. Someone felt really bad and said they had no right to trust their god, even asking to be killed. But the system replied that there was no need for such drastic actions. Someone asked about the Lightning Empress, a hunter who was bothering the guild leader's work. The reply confirmed it, stating that the time for action had finally arrived, and ordered for 2,000 people to be gathered to begin. The hero received a message saying he had met the conditions for a new power called the Multiplying Thumb of God. He could get this ability for 100 coins, and he decided it was a great deal, worth taking the chance. He looked at the strange comments again, still feeling a bit weird about them. He then decided it was time to check out his new ability. The man looked at his phone with a very surprised face. He wondered what new message or event could be popping up for him now. He looked at his phone screen with wide, shocked eyes. His face showed clear surprise and a little fear, as if something unbelievable had just happened. Suddenly, the great manager sent an urgent message demanding a meeting right away. The person who received it gasped loudly, clearly startled by the sudden request. A man with an anxious look holds out a bottle, suggesting someone try what's inside. He seems worried, perhaps about what he is offering. Two men were having a drink at a table. One of them poured a beverage into his companion's glass. A man was caught off guard, looking at someone with surprise while holding a drink. His friend beside him was busy taking a shot, seemingly not noticing the sudden attention. A man holding a bottle looks worried as someone asks him what is going on with his work. The man looked a bit surprised as he thought about something. Suddenly, someone at a nearby table angrily slammed their hand down, causing a commotion. Someone asked another person to stop screaming, wondering what was wrong with them. The other person angrily shouted back, complaining about how difficult work was all because of them. The main character was having a meal when a familiar message popped up on his phone. It asked if he wanted to help the Black Tribe again, which made him feel annoyed. The angry manager aggressively grabbed the main character, yelling about him playing a game at such a serious moment. The main character, unfazed, internally challenged the creatures to multiply once more. A person cried out in surprise while looking at their phone. Later, under the night sky, someone angrily called another crazy, who then fiercely promised to teach them a lesson for their words. On a street at night, someone urgently told a man not to make a scene. They hoped to keep things calm in the area. The night sky glowed softly under the full moon, while small, sparkling lights drifted among the dark trees below. These mysterious lights added a strange, magical feeling to the quiet evening. A dark, hooded figure stood firm, holding a long spear, surrounded by many others like them in the dim light of the full moon. In the distance, another figure with raised arms glowed with a strange, ominous light. The person looked up at the sky with arms raised, praising the blessings from their lord. They called out to Lord Yoo Ilshin, surrounded by a strange pink glow under a huge red moon. A determined figure with glowing red eyes declared they would surely cleanse the world of all the demonic beasts. They were ready to bring their divine power to destroy all evil. A manager angrily questioned Song Miri about her actions. He then learned about a hunter called the Lightning Empress, who was causing problems for their guild. The manager decided to send 2,000 people to handle the situation, believing they would bring forth the will of God. A system notification popped up, announcing that the god of destruction had defeated the beast of disaster, earning a massive amount of god coins. As evening settled, the city appeared calm after the recent chaos. Yoo Ilshin suddenly got a message saying that someone called the Tears of the Bountiful Abundance asked for help. He was still hiccuping and seemed a bit surprised by the sudden notification. A new message popped up, telling the man he could pick any ability as a reward for his good deeds, with someone else covering the cost. The man, however, was mostly annoyed by his constant hiccups that just would not stop. The man looked at his phone with a hopeful expression. Realizing he could get a new ability for free, he decided to choose the most expensive one, even though he couldn't stop hiccuping. Yoo Il-shin then saw a message confirming he had chosen the Creation of Heaven and Earth ability. This was a super rare and powerful ability, meant only for truly special beings. The character lets out a deep sigh, looking quite tired. He stares at the incredibly huge cost for the ability he just selected. However, the system told Yoo Il-shin that he was not strong enough to use the Creation of Heaven and Earth ability. So it changed the ability into a single use of false creation of heaven and earth to match his current strength. As evening settled, the city's many buildings glowed with lights, and cars moved steadily on the wide roads below. From high above, one could see the sprawling urban landscape, including a helipad ready on a skyscraper's roof. Loud warning messages filled the screen, flashing repeatedly. It announced that the world was about to change in a big way. A digital warning sign repeatedly flashed across the screen. It signaled that something important was about to happen. Someone stepped out of a warm shower, their bare feet landing softly on the bath mat. A woman with a towel on her head looked back at another woman, asking what she had been doing. The other woman, however, was looking intently at the sky. Someone shouts in surprise, wondering what is happening. A crushed soda can and cigarette butts lie scattered on the ground. People on the street looked up, very surprised and scared. They wondered aloud about what was happening around them. Someone nearby expressed fear, saying they were scared. However, the older man just smiled calmly, not seeming bothered at all. A person with vibrant red hair turned their head, looking back as if they had just heard something surprising. They seemed to wonder what was happening around them. The man looked troubled, a bead of sweat on his forehead. Below him, a vast glowing orb shone brightly in the darkness of space. Under a sky with two moons, one shining brightly and the other pale, a city stood silent. This strange night hinted that something big was about to happen. Yoo Il-shin seemed annoyed as a message popped up, telling him that demonic beasts were attacking the Black Tribe yet again, and asking for his help to defeat them. He wondered why these creatures kept multiplying and attacking so often. A quiet moment passed, filled with unspoken thoughts as the two celestial bodies hung in the sky above the city. A mysterious person looks on with a calm, almost cunning expression. She seems to be thinking of what comes next. The manager, still agitated, asked if the Lightning Empress was the hunter who was causing problems for the guild leader. He seemed very serious, wanting to confirm this important detail. A man stood observing the many defeated figures lying on the ground, while another person remained in the distance. He felt that the perfect moment had finally arrived. The long-haired leader smiled, saying the time was finally here. He then asked his subordinate how many people they should gather. A mysterious person raised their hands towards the glowing moons in the night sky. They wondered if more people would be better, suggesting they start with 2,000 for now, and someone quickly agreed. A powerful figure with long purple hair and sharp fangs laughed, surrounded by swirling purple energy. He seemed to be preparing for something important, full of dark excitement. Someone declared they would bless this world with the will of God. This grand promise was made under the watchful eyes of celestial bodies in the vast expanse of space. Houston, this is exploration rocket MTS-2 approaching the orbit of the second moon. It's impossible. The second moon shines with a mysterious green light, surrounded by strange energy, hinting at the unknown dangers it holds. Another celestial body, perhaps a normal moon, is also visible nearby. The MTS-2 rocket suddenly shakes and spins out of control as it gets closer to the strange green energy around the second moon. Commands from Houston repeat, asking what is happening to the ship. The voice from the rocket cries out that control is lost and impossible, repeating the warning as the ship is engulfed by the green energy. Panic spreads as the mission fails due to the moon's mysterious power. Back on Earth, news reports say the second moon shines gold at night and green during the day. Experts are predicting that the gates and dungeons might appear much more often. Because of these worries, the Korean Hunter Association plans to work with the government to deal with the situation. Meanwhile, a man holding his head in pain sighs, My head hurts. The teacher then hears his student Miri arrive, happily announcing her return. She quickly reports that she has finished her 500 laps, even if it took a little longer. The teacher then asks if Miri is ready to do planks next, suggesting a new exercise. Miri, seeing this, excitedly notes that her teacher always prioritizes the core. The teacher chuckles, agreeing that it's true, and then thinks to himself that he needs to look at Miri's mental image again. Electricity sparks around him as he prepares to use his special ability. He tells Miri to stay still and then shouts, "Start," as she gets into a plank position. Blind God's Eye's unique authority has been activated. This ability lets him understand and influence mental images. It kind of works. His power works, and he is now arriving inside the target's mental image. A huge tiger roars as lightning flashes around him. Inside Miri's mind, he sees a huge, chained tiger. The tiger is still bound by thick chains, crackling with golden energy. He uses his God's crushing forefinger ability, and a powerful surge of energy breaks another one of the dark chains. Sparks fly as he continues to free the tiger. He thinks that while there's still a lot to do, he's made good progress, and the tiger isn't afraid of him anymore. The great beast now looks at him without fear. The tiger then gently licks his face, making him laugh and realize its power must be growing. He wonders if Miri's real-world strength has also increased because of this. Suddenly, outside in the real world, a huge bolt of lightning strikes from the sky, hitting nearby buildings. This burst of power shows that Miri's strength is indeed growing. Miri, full of energy, happily exclaims that she knew her teacher's training methods were effective. The teacher, however, modestly replies that it's not really true. He then advises her to be careful, since many people are watching. Miri thanks him, and he smiles, pleased that his efforts are showing good results. Miri, feeling motivated, decides to do 200 more laps to finish her training for the day. As she runs off, the teacher receives a new notification on his phone. He checks his phone and sees a message from the Saint, a small ant-like creature in his game, asking for a name. He realizes he can't keep calling her Saint. Well, I can't keep calling her Saint. It would be good if she had a name. Whitey is for dogs. Bake soon? Suddenly, a flash of lightning zaps by, making him flinch. A ghostly figure appears and scolds him for having no sense in naming, making him gasp. He quickly suggests Auntie, asking if that name sounds better for the little creature. He points at the screen and asks, "How's that?" The little ant creature on his phone screen looks up at him with wide, happy eyes, clearly pleased with the new name. The Saint transforms into a cute ant-like girl, now truly embodying her new name, Auntie. Her excited reaction shows how much she loves her new identity. Auntie, the named ant girl, looks up with wonder, her hands clasped, asking what new miracle Yoo Ilshin will bring this time. She is full of faith in him. Oh, Yoo Ilshin, give me a name as well. Please bestow me as well. Yoo Ilshin, me too. The ant people surround Auntie, shouting and begging for him to bless them with names. Yoo Ilshin looks overwhelmed by the crowd of ant people wanting names, wondering how he can name this many. He decides to just start counting them. 1, 2. After a busy day, he thinks that home is truly the best place to be. The quiet street and familiar buildings bring him comfort. He enters his home, now fully repaired, ready to finally relax and rest. He stretches his arms, happy to be back in his comfortable space. Another notification pops up on his phone. Now what is it? He checks his phone and sees a message that the Saint and 100 followers of the Black Tribe, thanks to Yoo Ilshin's name and experience from hunting disastrous demonic beasts, have evolved. Type, Gayami. Specialities, cuties. He wonders, whoa, what is this? Evolution? The forest in the game begins to change, with huge spires erupting from the ground. The ant people are startled, shouting, "The forest is changing," and "Eek!" The ant people are startled, shouting in surprise. Auntie, the named ant girl, looks up with wonder, her hands clasped, asking what new miracle Yoo Ilshin will bring this time. She is full of faith in him. Yoo Ilshin looks amazed, seeing the new structures appear in the game. He exclaims that everything looks decorated and improved. The game world transforms into a beautiful village, with many small houses and even crops growing in fields. It's clear his actions are building a real community. He happily exclaims, "Nice? Very good," as he sees the village has new training grounds, a grand building, and defensive walls. The ant people are overjoyed, loudly cheering and worshipping Yoo Ilshin for his incredible miracles. They raise their arms in praise, shouting his name. Yoo Ilshin smiles, finding their devotion amusing, and thinks, "Haha, these guys Tilda." He then decides to move on to the next task. He notes that the ant people are getting cuter as they grow, and he also gave their tribe the name Gayami. He looks at the many ant people standing before him. He realizes that Gayami means ant in an old language, and wonders if they will evolve even further. He then sees a new construction option and decides to try it. He taps the construction button, curious about what new structure he can build. A new option, Warrior's Tower, appears on the screen. He asks, "What is that?" "Let's try Tilda." Suddenly, a terrifying monster appears from a tower, roaring powerfully. It looks like a fearsome gargoyle statue brought to life. The ant people scream in fear, wondering what this monstrous tower is. The tower itself looks ancient and dangerous, with dark energy swirling around it. Yoo Ilshin reads the description. The warrior's tower desires blood and soul and has a survival chance of less than 0.0000001%. He is shocked, realizing it's far too dangerous for his ant people. He decides he must protect them and quickly taps to take down the walls and block the entrance to the dangerous tower. He needs to make sure no one can enter. He laughs, thinking kehehehe, and selects yes to take down the walls. He warns the ant people not to even think about going near the tower out of curiosity, ensuring their safety. The ant people are thrown back by the impact of the walls being set up. The ant people continue to praise Yoo Ilshin, calling him incredible for protecting them. He tells them, "Do not even think about going near the tower out of curiosity. They are in awe of his wisdom and power." One strong ant person listens intently to the talk of a tower only the brave can attempt. He looks determined, contemplating the challenge. Suddenly, huge, menacing demonic beasts appear, attacking the village. The ant people panic and cry out, running for their lives. The brave ant person watches his friends flee, desperately wishing he could save them. He feels helpless but determined. He thinks to himself, if only I could get a little stronger." He looks up at the towering structure, realizing he needs more power to protect his people. The demonic beasts crash into the village walls, destroying them. The brave ant person looks at the collapsing structure, his face filled with worry. Despite the danger, he stands firm, declaring, "I can protect my friends." His eyes show a renewed resolve to become stronger. In a different place, a grand, dark castle looms under a stormy sky, hinting at a powerful, malevolent force. The atmosphere is tense and heavy. Inside the imposing palace, a figure prostrates himself before a powerful emperor, pleading, "Nen no way, Emperor. I am a great shaman who even..." The emperor sits on a large veiled throne. The kneeling figure, a shaman, begs for another chance, reminding the emperor of his contract with the demon king. But the emperor coldly states that the only apology is death. The shaman, now filled with terror, desperately cries out for mercy. The emperor's eyes glow menacingly from behind his veil. With a terrifying sound, the shaman is crushed and killed by the emperor's power. Blood splatters across the floor as the life drains from him. From the emperor's throne, sharp, claw-like fingers extend. He looks down at the fallen shaman, and another servant looks on in fear. The shaman's body tries to cry out, Eek! Save! The shaman's body, now twisted and broken, tries to beg for help one last time before fading away completely. Dark energy crackles around his dying form. A powerful wave of dark purple energy erupts from the emperor, showing his immense power and anger. The air fills with a menacing aura. The emperor lets out a furious cry, his dark form outlined in purple. He rages that the useless insects are useless, and that he must handle things himself. He rages that the useless insects are useless, and that he should handle things himself. Another servant tries to calm him, suggesting that the great god's bloodline shouldn't stoop to dealing with such puny little bastards. The emperor shouts, "Shut up! How can I trust and wait on useless bastards like you, who can't even take care of trash ants?" The emperor stops his angry outburst as a calm, mysterious voice enters the room. A strong blue light shines down the long hallway, stopping before the emperor. He says, "Hold your anger." The light travels down the long hallway, stopping before the emperor. The emperor acknowledges the voice, recognizing the powerful presence. He tells the newcomer, "You're back, my mystic." He recognizes the newcomer as his mystic and goddess. Another servant beside him also welcomes her excitedly. "Oh, goddess! You're back, goddess!" The powerful woman, with a calm and confident expression, confirms her return to Her Majesty. She tells Her Majesty that she has finished the mission he ordered and has come back to him. She tells Her Majesty that he is soon to be reborn from a demigod into a true god. She is ready to handle whatever challenges come. She advises him to leave all the work to her and get ready to climb as a god. She is ready to handle whatever challenges come. Her expression turns cold as she mentions the black tribe insects and their evil god. She says, The Black Tribe insects, with a determined look and glowing eyes, she vows to make the Black Tribe extinct, swearing on her name, Arachne.